11 treacherous turns. The man on top, David Green. The man out back, Randy LaJoie. One of the men in the middle, Chad Little. And always the man to beat at the Glen, Texas, Terry Labonte. "37 cars are circulating around the 2.4-mile Watkins Glen road course as CBS prepares to bring you an exciting, unique doubleheader of motorsports action on this Sunday afternoon. A couple more preliminary laps and we'll be underway with this $250,000 race. Hello everyone, Ken Squire with me, Ned Jarrett, and the special treat today, the manager, den mother for Robert Yates Racing is here, Larry McReynolds. He had a car that won this thing in '88. What about this race? Texas, Terry Labonte's the man, right?
Well, you know, when you think about experience at Watkins Glen, you definitely think about Terry Labonte. Not only has he won 3 of the 5 events that's been run here in the Busch Series, his worst finish in the other 2 has been 3rd. Not only that, he has run every race that's been run here in the Winston Cup division since 1986.
Now, heretofore, this race has always been won by Winston Cup stars, Urban, Elliott, and Terry Labonte 3 times. Ned, prospects for a Grand National winner today?
Today could be the day that we see somebody else in victory lane. Certainly that experience is very important, but David Green set a new track record in qualifying. He starts on the pole, and he likes this racetrack. Ricky Craven will be starting up near the front, too, and he has had some good runs here, ran good here last year. And Butch Lysinger, a road racer, doesn't have a lot of experience in this type car, but he perhaps has more laps on this racetrack than anybody else. So look for one of those 3 to emerge, and there's lots of others that could, too.
Now, we talk about this course. It's the only road course that they race on all season. 11 turns, it can give you a handful.
Well, certainly a lot of challenges, no question about it. You have right-hand turns, you have left-hand turns, a lot of braking, a lot of gear changing, challenge everywhere around here, it seems like. And we've had a good bit of rain overnight here, almost an inch of rain. And if you get one wheel off the course, you could be in deep trouble.
Well, you know, Ned, the thing that I've always seen work here as a crew chief, if you come here and you don't have any mechanical failures, which sometimes you can't control, your driver don't get off the course, and you make good pit decisions as far as pit stops, you can normally leave here with a good, solid top 5 finish.
Just about a lap and a half till we get them started here, so let's take a look right now at the starting grid. On the pole with a new track record, David Green, and alongside Joe Nemechek. In row 2, it's Ricky Craven and Butch Lysinger. Row 3, Hermie Sadler and Michael Waltrip. For row 4, Kenny Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield. Going for his 3rd win in a row, inside of row 5, Terry Labonte and Mike McLaughlin. Row 6 is Jeff Green and Bobby Labonte. Row 7, Todd Bodine and Rodney Combs. Row 8 is Larry Pearson and Jason Keller. For row 9, it's Jimmy Spencer and Curtis Markham. In row 10, the winner at Richmond this past March, Jeff Purvis and Phil Parsons. Row 11's Jeff Fuller and Dick Trickle. Row 12 is Georgia's Buckshot Jones and Vermont's Kevin LePage. Row 13, from Spokane, Washington, Chad Little and Ohio's Glenn Allen. Row 14, Oregon's Jim Bound and Michigan's Tim Fedowa. Row 15, Dennis Setzer and Doug Everon. Row 16, Randy Porter and Patty Moise. Row 17, Mike Dillon and A.J. Frank, a rookie. Row 18, Stevie Reeves and Randy LaJoie, and out back, Tommy Houston. Getting ready for a green flag and get this one going for 82 laps, and then it's off later today to Nazareth, Pennsylvania. The NASCAR trucks ready to rumble and grumble down there. All right, here we are in that final straightaway. It'll bring them back into the area of the start-finish line. There's the race analysis, $257 up today, Ned.
Make that $257,000, and there are 37 cars starting the race. 200 miles, that's only 82 laps around this racetrack, and the record was set last year, 81.86 miles an hour by Terry Labonte.
Take a look at the weather today.
You know, it's 74 degrees, but the track temperature is about 96 degrees, and rain is in the forecast somewhat, so that could play a role in the decisions that's made as far as pit stop strategy.
Here comes the field, headed for turn 10. One more, and they'll be back to the line, and we'll be underway this afternoon. Big time of the trucks. Got a Chrysler truck, Jimmy Hensley, up on the pole for that event, as we mentioned, after we're done here.
And Ken, you mentioned that Randy in the open, that Randy LaJoie out back. He wrecked here yesterday during qualifying, did not get a qualifying full lap in, and as a result, he had to go to a backup car, a car that was used by Johnny Benson here a year ago that ran very well. So LaJoie, starting all the way back in the back, he's second in the point standings going into today's race.
Took the nose completely off right at the entrance turn 1. Here we are on a start, bringing him down. David Green, Nemechek alongside.
You know, Ken, these guys didn't really get much practice as far as their race setup after qualifying. So what they want to do, they want to find them a groove, stay out of trouble, and just kind of watch the laps wind down.
Only about a half hour after they had that qualifying run to sort them out, and it was in the wet. It was raining and damp. Nemechek has jumped out in front as they scatter through for the first time. Up the hill through the S's, blind portion of the course right here, then into that long straightaway that leads to the interloop.
You see Ricky Craven running second. You know, Ricky's only run a handful of Busch races this year, but his worst finish in the few that he's run has been a 4th.
And he says that if you don't like road racing, then you shouldn't get near this. You've got to like it to really be strong on. Through the interloop now.
Now, there's one car coming straight through. Can't do that. That's against the rules. Now, if he waits and lets everybody else get him back in position, he'll be okay. But if he stays up there where he's at, he's going to get black flag.
He's supposed to go in behind the guy he was behind as he went into the interloop.
I think that was A.J. Frank.
Yeah,
that did that.
And Terry Labonte said this morning, what if there's nobody in front of him?
So
you see Nemechek is first. Going in second is Craven. We're watching the field. Getting through this first lap. Out of turn 11. Craven being challenged. That's Leitzinger in the white car on the inside of number 91. Tucks back in.
And here's a smoker.
Is that Jimmy Spencer already in trouble? Oh, too bad. When he went out to qualify, it was raining pretty hard. They put them out in groups of 5 to qualify yesterday. And both he and Chad Little thought they would use a little reserve in that qualifying period. Weren't too comfortable about that condition they were running on.
And Larry, it looked like that engine was still running, so it could be an oil filter or a line or something of that nature.
Well, that's the thing. You know, at a road course, there's a lot of extra lines underneath the race car because you have transmission cooling and, of course, the rear end cooling, so it could be any number of things, especially coming from the area that you saw it coming underneath the car.
This is a battle for 9th position. There's Jeff Green in the number 3, and you're riding with Terry Labonte. Won it last year from 21st, won from the pole last year, and the year before won it from 21st position.
There you see him going up the short chute out of going into that last left-hander. He grabbed 3rd gear. Now he's back to 4th. He downshifted to 3rd and then to 2nd. So through that left-hander here, we'll run 2nd gear.
Oh, Leitzinger's been off the racetrack.
And he's bent the back a little on that one. Leitzinger had a 2nd place finish in that 6-hour endurance race here 3 weeks ago. He also won down at Lime Rock in a Busch Grand National North road race. Now you see that leader is still Nemechek, and he looks really strong. He won the first race he was ever in, which was on a road course down in Sebring, Florida years ago, about 87, 88. There they are, headed into turn 2 and then up the hill through the S's, and this is the dangerous, tricky part right here, over that bridge.
Nemechek and Craven certainly are putting quite a distance on this field right here to only be about the 2nd or 3rd lap here.
These turns, as you mentioned, Ken, are pretty blind. You can't see very far ahead of you here, and they do get a lot of speed as they go up that hill.
Randy LaJoie, who wrecked yesterday on the very first, he's picked up 5 spots already from 37th going up into 32nd and still knocking them down.
You know, I know he wants to get to the front just as quick as he can, but the thing he's got to use here, especially on a road course, he's got to use some patience. He's got 82 laps to get to the front. Steve Bird and those guys, I'm sure, is going to make some great calls in the pits. He just needs to show some patience and just take his time.
Easing up through. Just taking his time, trying to get back up through this field. Randy LaJoie, who hammered the nose totally off his car.
Butch Leitzinger has brought his car into the pit area. He's going a lap down as the leaders head into turn 1.
And the leaders look like this. Nemechek first, Craven second. There's David Green running 3rd, and I believe that's Michael Waltrip right behind him. Leitzinger going back out again. Yeah, Michael Waltrip in that car that a year ago Terry Labonte carried victory in, white and red colors. Hermie Sadler's 5th, Kenny Wallace 6th, Mayfield 7th. Jeff Green is in 8th, and running 9th at the present time is Terry Labonte, 3-time winner of the event.
And what you see here, this is part of the S's, which is turn 2, 3, and 4. And what the drivers will try to do, especially on fresh tires, they'll try to run wide open through those S's, and that really gets them some good speed down that straightaway leading into the inner loop you see there.
There you see David Green, the pole sitter. Incredibly good run. Set a new record. In fact, 6 cars broke the old track record in Grand National competition here yesterday. 6 of them.
Again, it was a qualifying that they don't experience anywhere else other than the road course here at Watkins Glen. They call it the European-style qualifying, where they send 5 cars at a time out. They run 5 laps and actually clock the best lap of those 5. And I think in most of these guys' cases, the 3rd lap was the quickest lap.
Green, Nemechek, Craven, Leitzinger, Hermie Sadler, and Michael Waltrip all broke the old mark that belonged to Terry Labonte. There you see Craven coming through now. Here's the battle a little further back. And David Green's got his hands full. Here's Kenny Wallace, and there's Jeremy Mayfield, who's having a very good run up here. Mayfield trying to get some experience. He's up to 7th spot as he gets ready to bring the Cale Yarborough car up here in August for a Winston Cup race.
That's the thing. You see a lot of the Winston Cup guys here, and they're up front running. We come here and run in just 2 short months. And actually, this tire that they're running here on the Busch Grand National cars is the same tire that Goodyear will bring here for the Winston Cup event in 2 months.
Got a couple of sets to change under Green today. That's the set they start on. Boy, great pictures as you go through that interval. It leads into this big carousel turn downhill. Throws you all the way to the outside, makes you feel like you're standing on the edge of the world looking off the side. At least that's how David Green is described it. Nemechek stays out in front.
There's Leitzinger after he came back out, Ken. He's running right with Nemechek. In fact, gaining on him right now. He is thinking about trying to get back into the lap.
This turn 1, it's one of the trickiest turns on the whole road course because you're carrying a lot of speed at the end of the straightaway. You're turning right, you're downshifting, and you're braking headed downhill. So a lot of cars will get in trouble there at times during the race.
Nemechek had a good run last year through most of the race. He sure is having a great run today.
He was very, very fast in the second practice session here yesterday. He actually got down in the 75-second bracket, which the record that David Green set was a little over 76 seconds around this racetrack. But Nemechek had clocked the lap in the 75-second bracket, and he didn't repeat it when he went out to qualify. But that did show that he has a very fast race car and he knows how to get around this track.
Even though I think the track was actually dry when they qualified, I think there was a lot of moisture in there, and it was on the windshield, and that certainly makes the drivers a little more cautious.
Yeah, and there were some raindrops falling when they qualified yesterday, so that definitely will make you cautious.
Randy LaJoie, and he's picking up spots from 37th. He's now into 27th position. That's in 4 laps. LaJoie continuing to battle his way back into this race, running right behind Allen and that number 99 Luxair. There's your leader. Nemechek in first, Craven number 2 in second. Then this great battle for third.
Coverage of the Watkins Glen 200 is sponsored by the makers of Lysol products, Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Mobile Motor Oil. At Mobile, we've been changing oil for over 125 years.
Misty day here in Watkins Glen, New York, up in the Finger Lakes area, the wine country of New York State, watching Joe Nemechek trying to get a chance to open the bubbly when this is over. Leitzinger in the 91 is a lap down. Hit trouble in the early going, lap 3. Crunched up the back of that one, was on pit road momentarily, but he's trying to take that lap back right now.
You know, probably Ken Leitzinger making Nemechek run his car probably a little harder than he'd really like to, but he knows he don't need to let him have that lap back. He could be a factor later on in this race.
You bet. For more on what has happened to Leitzinger, let's go to Bill Stevens, who's joining us today. Bill?
I'm with Chuck Nicholson, the crew chief for Busch Leitzinger. A problem, what happened, Chuck?
He thinks he hit a little bit of water. He got backwards and got into the tire wall. We just went a lap down. He's right on the leader. We just need to get the leader back and hope for a caution.
Hasn't affected his lap time?
No, his lap times are real good. He's right on the leader.
All right, earlier, Jimmy Spencer was into the pits with smoke pouring from his race car. There was too much oil in the oil tank. I spoke to Eddie Spencer. He said they corrected the problem, and he should be okay now. Ken?
Thank you. And the 1992 Grand National Champion, Nemechek, stays just in front of the lap car of Leitzinger.
We should mention that Jimmy Spencer did lose a lap when he came into the pits to get his oil drained out.
You know, that's the thing, Ned and Ken, you know, at a road course at motor builders and the chassis guys have to deal with, you know, at an oval, your oil liquids, they're always slinging to one side. Here at the road course where you're going left and right, it's slinging back and forth, and it'll actually, if it's too full, it'll start siphoning out just like you'd siphon gas out of your gas tank, and it can be a real problem to deal with.
9 laps complete. That was one of the things they had to change on the LaJoie car. The fuel feed was on the wrong side for the road course, and they had to rebuild that, along with all the other changes to make to a road car.
Of course, what you're talking about there, Ken, is this is the only place that when the cars come in the pits that they actually change tires opposite from what they would on an oval. You know, we actually fuel the car on the left-hand side everywhere we go, and here they actually fuel it on the right side and normally change left side tires first and then right side, which is backwards from an oval.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, if you think you had a bad week this week, you ought to talk to Tim Fenelon. He really had a bad week. Earlier in the week, his trailer truck caught on fire. They lost 2 cars, the trailer, several motors, and today he has begun the day by spinning out and flat spotting his tires. He's already been in the pits for 4 new ones, Ken.
Tough break for Fidowa.
And he went a lap down also. Now we have 3 cars, 1 lap down. Jimmy Spencer, Butch Leitzinger, and Tim Fidowa.
Shaw 35th, Fidowa 36 on Leitzinger, and Spencer 37th. I think that Leitzinger's 1 spot up on that, but he's the one that is in a challenging position to take that lap back right now. Here you see him again, moving in on Nemechek. How long do those tires stay up? How long do you really get the bite you want when you're running here at Watkins Glen?
Well, I think Goodyear has worked a lot on the tire here for the road courses, and really, I think you need fuel even before you need tires. Sure, they'll give up some grip, but of course on a cool overcast day like we have here today at Watkins Glen, they'll bite for a lot longer if it was 90-something degrees and a lot hotter.
Don't forget, later today here on CBS, we're going to take you to Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Big old trucks ready to ramble down there and give you some kind of show. And you've got a Dodge up in front. We're riding with Phil Parsons right now in the channel lock, number 10. Parsons has had some pretty good road races here in the past. Looking good now in 16th position, Phil Parsons.
There you see Phil going through the gears. That's definitely one of the highest speeds of the racetrack, and then you downshift as you go into the inner loop right there, headed into the long sweeping turn 9. This is where a car's really got to work good here at Watkins Glen because it's such a long sweeping corner.
And one way you can pass if you do have the car working right. And
There's Rodney Combs in.
Yeah, that's an unscheduled pit stop. Uh-oh, it died on him. It died.
19th place as he pitted. Finally gets it fired. He started his road racing. Now there's a driver out of the Carolinas, Virginia area. He started his road racing in Australia. Drove at Bathurst back in the 80s. Very proudly finished right there with, we got one spinning. Jeff Green. He is off. That's turn 1, I believe. But Jeff Green has spun and brings her down under control.
He was fortunate to get that thing stopped before he got into the wall over there. That grass is so wet. It is slick. You don't get much traction on it.
He was running 9th when he went off the track, and that's right where LaJoie exploded his car into the wall yesterday. It just flew straight on in, and it hammered the whole front end off it. It took the front foot and then some.
They said it was tore up so bad they really wanted to analyze what maybe had happened, because as he went into turn 1, he said the thing just never turned. But so many things was tore up from the accident, it was really hard to determine what may have caused the problem.
He had just gone into the brakes a little. I was standing down there in turn 1 when he went in. And it was smoking for a minute, and then it was straight on into the wall. That was the hardest hit of the day and destroyed the car, which he thought he could do really well here. This is a good backup car he's running. Meanwhile, you're riding with Terry Labonte as he begins to wend his way up. He's in the 6th spot, and he's trying to close on Michael Waldron in 5th. Maybe a lap car in between them.
I believe that's
Hermie
Sadler.
Sadler's backed up a spot. Scoring is still a lap behind, and Sadler has just been passed by Michael Waltrip. Now take a look here.
It's really a good shot. You see how much of the racetrack they use up. You know, you want to use as much as you can, carry as much speed as you can through these corners, and you'll see him get up on those ripple strips as you did to see David Green a while ago out of the last corner of the S's.
Another driver that's on the move is Chad Little. He started in 25th place. You mentioned him, Ken, in the Open. He's all the way up to 11th now.
And the last lap, he picked up 2 more up. Buckshot Jones. Whoop, easy Buckshot.
You're going to have to show as much patience when you get off the racetrack as when you're on it. When you try to get back on, you see there that grass is really wet and he's just spinning the tires. It's almost like slow down and you might get back on there better.
He's just trying to find anything to give him a bite.
And he's going to be heading in the wrong way once he does get back out there.
He finally found it. So Buckshot's back underway in the 00, and this is going to take him down. He was at 22nd. This will put him on the tail end of the lead lap, which would be about 31st at the present time. In fact, here come your leaders onto him right now. Joe Nemechek, the 1992 Grand National Champion, continuing to lead here at Watkins Glen.
There's one car that's behind the wall. Jeff Purvis is behind the wall with his Chevrolet number 4. They have the car jacked up. Evidently something went wrong in the transmission in his car.
Take a look at what happened to Buckshot Jones here for a moment. Coming to turn 1.
Well, there he is. Apparently locked the brakes as he headed in there. Might have been just a little bit too high coming in there, but he makes the 360. But then it's going to get out on the grass, and he doesn't have a great deal of control once he gets out on the grass, even though it doesn't look like he's going very fast. Everybody else got slowed down behind him there. No problem as far as they're concerned. But once he got out on that grass, you see it's going to slide around again, and when he got back on the track, he was headed the wrong way and had to whip her around, and now he's going the right way.
There you see the number 23, up to 11th spot, Chad Little, just on the inside there. Here comes that 87 closing up. He is flying, Nemechek.
He is smooth, doing a great job.
The interval is now 5 seconds from first to third. Interesting shot there a moment ago on Chad Little. We'll find out a little bit more about that in a moment and take a break right now. Coming up next, we're going to truck on down to Nazareth, Pennsylvania for the Nazareth 200. That's next on CBS Sports Today. Here you see Nemechek continuing to lead, 5 seconds the advantage over Ricky Craven in second. Leitzinger is still a lap down, being shown in 29th position, running right behind Nemechek. Now here's your battle for second place, and it's really closed up, fellas. You've got Green in the 98, the pole sitter, right there, working on Ricky Craven in number 2, the second position car.
Yeah, Craven had pulled out to a pretty good lead over Green and Michael Waltrip and the others, but there's another car coming straight through. That's Bobby Labonte. Apparently didn't get slowed down enough to make the interloop. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berger.
Well, Rodney Coombs is sitting here in the pits. NASCAR has held him up. They're giving him some sort of a penalty. He had come in because of a shifter problem. NASCAR has held him up for a fair while. Crew doesn't seem to know why, and Coombs is off. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, Ricky Craven has radioed back to his pit. He thinks he has a right rear tire going down.
Caution flag may be helpful to him. Yellow is on the track. This comes at lap 17. Lap 17 it is. Craven may have a tire going down, so he gets a little bit of a break here.
You know, Ned, this could be an interesting caution because it comes with 65 laps to go. That puts most of them within a fuel window where they can make a stop here and finish the race on one more stop. So I got to believe you'll probably see most of them in for 4 tires and fuel.
Good point. One thing you don't want to do is run out of gas on this racetrack.
It's a long way back to the pits if you run out in the wrong place.
And it's a long way uphill. You can't get that coast around on this place.
Exactly.
There's Nemechek, then Leitzinger, then Craven, followed by David Green, Michael Waltrip coming by. And Terry Labonte continues to pick him off. Shown now in 5th position. Here's Bill Stevens.
A situation down here for Tommy Houston. Yesterday during practice, he cleaned off the entire front suspension. They rebuilt it last night. They're watching the car very carefully. A NASCAR corner worker reported there was smoke coming from it, but the crew says that there's no such thing as smoke coming from it from the engine. Could be tire smoke because they have a very loose condition. They're watching Tommy very carefully right now.
Here's the update on Tommy Houston, who picked up some positions in a hurry at the start, knocked down 10 spots from his original starting slot. Tommy Houston in number 6 being shown in 21st overall on the field. We're still waiting on a reason for this caution.
I think there's some oil on the track somewhere, Ken.
Somebody split one?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of them that were.
Here's Patty Moise in car number 14, who's qualified for this event, stays in the lead lap in 25th position at the present time. Started her career in road racing down around Jacksonville, Florida, and her husband Elton Sawyer is on the radio tour today.
And we understand that there's water and oil just past the interloop over there. We had noticed that several cars, I started to say a moment ago, had gone through the interloop and didn't make the turns there. And I think that's probably the reason, and I assume that all of them slowed down and got back into the position they were in before they went through that. Okay, let's see, are they coming into the pits? Yes, they are. Here comes the pace car and all the race cars coming into the pits.
Now, we saw Randy Porter put out some smoke, and they are saying that he split that engine and he poured oil out of it. So car number 48, Randy Porter, looks like he's retired, and he created an oil down situation.
All of those front runners came in excepting David Green, and that's a surprise there.
That's really some interesting strategy, because again, now what this is going to force them to do, if we go back and stay green flag racing, he's going to have to be in the pits in about 16 or 17 laps. But I'm accustomed to that Winston Cup strategy. Every time the yellow flies, you get 4 tires. So these guys, they certainly know what they're doing.
Well, there you can see all the activity on pit road, and Dick Bergener is down there among them.
Ricky Craven desperately needed this pit stop to change his tires. Kevin Gilman is on the front. Tommy Baldwin Jr. on the back, and it's a great pit stop. Craven has beaten everybody out.
Leitzinger makes up his lap with his caution, with the leader pitting.
Well, yeah, technically he gets back in the lead lap, but he'll have the opportunity the next time to come in if he wants to. But he still is almost a full lap behind.
Full lap behind. Yes. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. Let's see if he's going to elect to come in when he comes back around. Maybe he'll chance it. Let's see what David Green is up to out here. Butch Enders making a call with David Green to leave him out here. Appropriates first. There you see it, the car that sat on the pole, one of 6 to break the record. Leitzinger's car all humped up in the back after it collected some of the tires here on one of the barriers in the very initial laps of the race.
You know, one thing I might add, even though they didn't pit because it's so far around this course, he can come in under green in 15 or 17 laps and not go a lap down. So it's not real terrible strategy. You know, he's going to be at the front of the pack, and at a road course especially, the place that you can stay in the least amount of problems or have the least amount of trouble is up front.
Working the 19th of 82 laps at the present time here at Watkins Glen, New York, with the Grand National cars of NASCAR upcoming. The trucks from Nazareth later. CBS coverage of the Watkins Glen 200 continues after this message and a word from your local station.
MGM's new action motion picture Fled on July 19th. See how they run. And by priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Getting ready on a restart with David Green out in front. There'll be another lap under yellow. Green electing not to pit the last time by. What do you think, fellas? Let's go to Dick Bergen, then I'll pose the question about whether or not he's trying to make this on one fuel stop. Dick?
I'm with Kirk Chumerdine, and he is the team consultant here. Ken, Kirk, how come no pit stop that time when everybody else did?
It sort of surprised me as many of them pitted as they did, but we're really in trouble on track position at this track. It's hard to pass. We're running just as fast in laps as we were at the start of the race, if not faster.
Bill Stevens?
I tell you, we didn't have any good luck at all. We had a front bearing now, the transmission go bad and start leaking oil all over the place. So I really hate it for UniFirst and Sammy Kershaw and The crew, they work hard, and it seems like lately can't do anything right. I'm not really an expert
All right,
road racer
is
by
he in
any
the
means, but we were just going to try and finish and do the best we could today and come out here with some points. And to fall out early is, you know, really a bad break for our team.
Number 31 qualifier done for the day.
9th DNF of the season on Randy Porter. So, anybody feel that David Green may have a ace up his sleeve here, and he's going to try to make this an economy run like Wallace did last week over there at Michigan?
Well, he might. Maybe that is their strategy, that they stayed out there for that track position and hoping to be able to go just on one pit stop. That's going to be stretching it, Larry. It'll be awfully close.
It really is, but I will say that was one of the teams in the garage area this morning that felt like that they could do it on one stop. And what you got to remember, the more caution laps we run, the more that could become a reality for them.
Now, Randy LaJoie, you'll see him. He's about 5th or 6th there in line. Made a great pit stop. He's being shown 5th in the lineup right now. Remember, he started dead last as a result of going to a backup car, but he only took on fuel. And as Kirk Shelberdine pointed out, the cars are still running lap times as fast as they did when they had new tires on. So that was a good call by Birdie on his car, the crew chief on the 74 car, to just take on fuel and get that track position.
That really was a good move because, again, Goodyear has an excellent tire here today, and I believe I'd feel better in his position right now than I would David Green because I got a full load of fuel at least.
Yeah.
Well, there you see that 5th place car, and there's a difference between the Grand National and Winston Cup cars.
There's only 70 pounds difference in the weight. The Winston Cup weighs 3,400 pounds and the Grand National weighs 33. There's 5 inches difference in the wheelbase. The Cup cars have a little longer wheelbase, and that just seems to make the cars maybe a little more stable.
But the difference is that 9.5 compression.
Yeah, and the engine, both of them have 358 cubic inch engines, but the Busch cars are restricted to 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, which reduces the horsepower considerably.
Take a look here at number 88. That is Kevin LePage has come into 2nd place. He is picked up in there. And
either he just took on fuel or didn't stop at all.
I don't think he stopped at all.
He did pit.
Did pit. Okay. And came out. And they have him listed in 2nd spot. There you see him. LePage, who finished 4th the last time out in the Riddling car when they ran at Myrtle Beach down South Carolina. Then running in 3rd would be Terry Labonte. He's easing his way up through the field. Craven 4th, LaJoie 5th. Nemechek, who set the pace in those first 17 laps, back to 6. Hermie Sadler is 7th, and Jeremy Mayfield is shown in 8th with Michael Waltrip 9th and Chad Little into the 10th position.
You know, talking about the weight of the cars here, Ken, I know with the Winston Cup cars weighing 3,400 pounds, everywhere we go except the road courses, we work to put as much weight on the left-hand side that we can because we're primarily turning to the left. Here at Watkins Glen, most of the high-speed turns are to the right, so teams try to make it and put as much weight on the right-hand side as they can for those right-hand turns.
Let's correct ourselves here. We understand now that Kevin LePage did not make a pit stop, so he, like David Green, decided to go on, and we're going right now with Green Flag Racing.
And he is in 2nd spot, taking a shot at David Green right now. Kevin LePage up there to fight with Green. Now there's a north-south battle for you. And a good one. Green out of Kentucky, LePage out of Vermont. Whoa!
And he is loose.
And he's in trouble. Bang! Hard finish for Kevin LePage in that 2nd spot as he came down. Just got that car straightened around out of turn number 1, and away she went into the wall on the inside.
It started wiggling with him, and he just could not get it straightened out. And around it went. Tough break for Kevin.
You know, I was just fixing to comment. One thing about it, when you don't change tires at a place like this, is you've got to be careful because those hot tires will pick up a lot of rubber, and that may have very well been what happened. He did get the rubber scrubbed off the tires good, and they went back racing. It feels like you've got 4 flat tires on those.
We've got a caution coming up here.
Yeah, we've got a caution coming up, but they're going to be racing back to the flag. See, they haven't seen this all happened over there. Now it's behind all of the cars, so they'll be racing back to the flag. Jimmy Spencer wants to, and Butch Leitzinger both want to get a lap back.
David Green getting back around Leitzinger and putting him a lap down. For a moment, he got a bit of a breather. Here they are finishing this lap. They get ready to take out Kevin LePage's car. That would move Terry Labonte in the 2nd, Craven the 3rd. Pending what happened out there on the track, and I think Labonte's already made his pretty stout move out there to keep Craven back. Turn 11. From the helicopter, maybe we can see what happened here.
Oh, we had a little bit of a tap there from the back. that got him sideways, and he just simply could not get it straightened out. Every time he turned the wheel, the back end would go farther around and back to the inside wall. Here's another angle. And you can see he gets a tap there from one of the white cars, and I think that is Jimmy Spencer, that he got a little bit of a tap as he came off the turn there, and around he went.
Indeed, it was Spencer. LePage has had 4 top 10 finishes since he took over there for David Ridling in April. You can see the back end crunched up, and they really had high hopes. They've moved well up in the points, and it's buckled front and back. Dick Berggren.
Well, right now the crew from the 88 car is watching television. They're keeping an eye on their race car. You see them there putting the green tape together. They're getting ready to bring Kevin LePage in here, but they've been watching the car on TV to see what the damage is in order to properly make the pit repairs as quickly as possible. And they agree. They say Jimmy Spencer took them out.
Well, they said they were on a roll coming in today. That roll has just ended up against the fence for Kevin LePage. We're back with you once again. Watkins Glen, New York. 22 of 82 laps to complete, and let's take a look at what happened to Randy LaJoie in turn 1.
Okay, as they came down
Kevin LePage
into turn 1, coming off of turn 1, actually, you see Spencer has a pretty good run. He's coming off of there. He's from the low side of the racetrack and drifting out. Well, Kevin LePage is on the outside of the 91 car here. Now we'll move it forward, and we'll see Spencer really has a run, and right there, see, he makes the tap as he starts off that turn. Very critical point on this racetrack because he's almost out of control anyway. Just a little bit of a tap, and it sends him around. He could never get control of it again. Tried to, but overcorrected each time, which is a natural thing to do, and into the inside wall he goes.
Kevin LePage, number 88.
That's the thing, Ned. He was up on those ripple strips, which you really need to do to get a good run.
Sure.
So you're a little bit out of control, and then, of course, Jimmy gives him a little tap up there as well, and went into that steel guardrail. That steel guardrail don't move, but it can sure eat a race car up.
And then it caught the car. They couldn't get it out. They had to get some folks over there to help the back end of the car. It got tethered in there in that metal. And here it comes back, not looking so strong anymore for David and Karen Ridling. They were very excited about how well their drivers were doing. Here we come to a green flag. He's been averaging 10 for the last 6 races for a finish in that car, number 88, Kevin LePage. We're back on the green. David Green, Terry Labonte, Ricky Craven, Nemechek, the top 4.
What we got to remember, any of these caution laps that we have, that's just going to help the David Green situation if he is trying to play the fuel mileage game here.
Getting up through the S's, Green gets a bit of an advantage. Pulls away from the Leitzinger, the lap car, by about 4 car lengths. More now, 6-8. He draws away. Here's Craven. He's got Nemechek all over him. And Mayfield working on the number 1. Hermie Sadler.
You see Nemechek getting by Craven. It's going to be interesting to see, as good as Nemechek's car was working, if he can get right back to the front where he was before this last pit stop.
Well, Nemechek moved around Craven. He used that long back straightaway. And he's around Ricky and picks up a spot.
You know, we've been watching Nemechek. He's no stranger to running up front. He finished second in the inaugural event here in '91 and followed it up with 2 fourth-place finishes in the next 2 years. So he's been accustomed to running up front in the Busch Grand National Series here.
This is only his 6th start in Grand National racing this season. But he's sure looking strong right now. There you see Green, your leader. And you see some lap cars in there. Leitzinger, followed by Jimmy Spencer. Now here comes your 2nd place car, Terry Labonte. Then you see Nemechek, followed by Craven. Sadler, Mayfield, Waltrip, all in that collection just behind them. Whole different exercise for these fellas, and they only get to do it once a year. Hey, you're a Winston Cup regular. Would you like to see him do more road racing?
I think it all depends on what your program and how your driver likes road racing. But it's so much. There we've got a car into the foam barrier.
Ooh, A.J. Frank.
That's that kid out of Hilton Head, South Carolina. This is the first race he's ever run, and it looks like he knocked it a pretty good chunk. A.J. Frank, he's 21 years old, been running down there at Oglethorpe, saved up his money, brought his car up here, thought they could make the field because it might be light on cars. Indeed, it was. What they start, 37 today, that's what they had here. But some of that because the Busch Grand National North is off running. Some of the top runners a year ago in that exciting truck series. Yellow flag is coming back out again for A.J. Frank, South Carolinian, coming out of his car. That's the third caution they've all had. Oh, there's the 98 away. That is a bad mark for Jeremy Mayfield.
I don't think he got into there. You see this styrofoam protection there? That's about what, 3 or 4 feet thick, the styrofoam, and that's good. I'm glad to see them do that. But he still can't get any traction. I don't think that he hit that, Larry. But
I don't think he did. But he just can't get out of that mud. And
these tires don't have tread on them, so they get no grip.
And Jeremy was running in 7th position, a really good run before this problem here.
This is a tough break.
Well, yesterday, twice we saw that styrofoam. You see how it's laid in front of the tires? One of the Formula 2000 cars lifted it up about 10 feet in the air. We can show you what happened to A.J. Frank. And then when the LaJoie car hit, same thing happened again. It just popped that thing up in the air, and he went right beneath it. There goes A.J. Frank.
Just came off the turn there and loses it out on the grass. Can't slow down and hits it sideways, but boy, I tell you, he's fortunate that those styrofoam pads were out there.
He really was. I know it looks like it makes a big mess, but can you imagine if he'd have went sliding that hard either into the tires or especially that blue guardrail?
That's the healthiest snowstorm he was ever in.
Yeah, and he was going in their driver's side first, too. Yeah, that could have hurt.
Okay, Ned, what's David Green going to do here? This is making it interesting.
Yeah. Well, he's still not halfway, so if his thoughts are to go halfway, well, these caution laps, as you said earlier, are helping him because he's getting better fuel mileage running slow under the caution than he would be if he were running under the green. So I expect he'll stay out there.
I believe he's too deep now. He's committed, right?
Yep. Yep. Don't think he can back out now, whatever that strategy was.
26 laps of the 82 to be run have now been completed. 63 and 7/10 miles. David Green continues to be your leader. Terry Labonte is in second. Nemechek has pulled himself back up into third. Ricky Craven fell a spot, that last one to fourth. There's Jeremy Mayfield out there. And look at that standing water everywhere, over an inch again last night. And throughout the Northeast, that's been the story of short track racing everywhere in this part of the country, too. Hard to get a race in these days.
Jeremy said, just get somebody out here and pull this thing out of here. I can still go. It didn't hurt my race car. It didn't look like it did.
We'll take a commercial break and be back for the green flag resumption of the Watkins Glen 200 for Grand National. Well, Jeremy Mayfield, in only his 4th road race, was having a terrific run, was up in 7th position, and then this is what happened.
Well, there was a reason for him getting out into the grass. First of all, we'll move it forward. As you see him come into turn 10, you see there's some smoke coming from the right front of his Ford as he comes into that turn. Can't steer. The other cars go down on the inside, and we're going to stop it right here. And you see that tire is flat as he comes off there, so he really has not a great deal of control. He has some control, but he gets it out in the grass and does a great job, really, of not getting into the interior wall. As you can see, he gets onto the grass there, and maybe that flat tire might have helped slow him down a little bit on that grass, but that is the reason that he was not able to get that thing to move once he got it stopped over there.
Yeah, it definitely probably slowed the speed down once it got on that wet grass. And this being somewhat like a short track, there's not an inner liner within this tire here. Goodyear just runs the tire in a tube, so there's no inner liner. And once that tire goes flat, basically you don't have a whole lot of steering. So that's the reason the car just wanted to go straight.
There you can see that tire is completely flat.
Jeremy Mayfield. Watkins Glen, the only road race on the Grand National schedule, and we asked some of the drivers how they prepare for this road course.
It's a once-a-year deal, and you just kind of make laps in your head before you get here. I've been doing that for the last month or so. You just kind of get mentally prepared. You know what you got to do, and I do that every place I go to. I make laps in my head.
I went to Myrtle Beach last week, and we didn't have too good of a race car, and I turned right all day long. So I guess I'm ready for Watkins Glen.
Probably one of the most dangerous and fastest parts of the racetrack is would be turns 3 and 4 up on top of the hill where you're making that left-handed turn. You know, that's one of the fastest parts of the racetrack, and it's a blind turn, a little off camber. So that right up there is an area where you can get yourself in trouble in a hurry.
It's a challenge for a driver, and it's a lot of fun, really. It's a nice change of pace. You know, you get to shift and go left and right, and for somebody that does mostly oval track racing, like most of the Busch guys and the Cup guys, really, it's a nice change of pace. So it's pretty difficult, but it's a challenge, and that's what all drivers like, challenges.
Phil Parsons currently in 22nd position. Now you're riding with Terry Labonte, who has pulled himself to second spot. He's going for 3 in a row, his 4th overall in the 6 Grand National races that have been run here at Watkins Glen. Here's Bill Stevens.
Kevin LePage, everybody expected you were done for the day, but it looks like you're going to get back into this thing.
Yeah, you know, we got little vendor problems here with the Farmer's Choice Chevrolet, but you know, we're getting the crew's working hard right now. We're in a point race. We need to stay out, get as many points as we can, so we're getting that Farmer's Chevrolet back in the race.
You've had some road racing experience, so you were having a pretty good run today.
Yeah, you know, we were coming up through the back. You know, we started 24th, and you know, they had the caution. Everybody came in, and we decided we were going to stay out because we weren't getting the tire wear that I guess everybody else was. And unfortunately for us, we were going into turn 1. Get turned around by a lap car, get into the fence, and you know, we got hung up in the fence. That was the hardest thing. We couldn't get the car out. It got pinned in between the 2 guardrails. But you know, that's racing.
Don't count him out. He's coming back. Ken?
14th in points. Kevin LePage trying to pick up some more here after that altercation with the fence. Turn 1. Here you see the restart, and this comes at lap 29. With David Green out in front, Terry Labonte second, Joe Nemechek is in third, Ricky Craven fourth, LaJoy fifth, Hermie Sadler, Chad Little seventh. Then you have Michael Waltrip in eighth, Todd Bodine now up into 10th, and into 9th, and Bobby Labonte into 10th. Larry Pearson is 11th.
You know, this is where it'll be interesting, because now you've got Terry Labonte running in second, who has 18 less laps on his tires than David Green, who's leading the race. So here's where we'll see a really good test of a lot of laps on tires versus fairly fresh tires.
David Green in front, then the lap car of Leitzinger, and right behind him you have Terry Labonte. And Labonte has proven he can win from anywhere. We talked about him coming from 21st. He's won from the pole. He's come from the back. So strong. Here you are riding with him now as he closes up on the lap car of Leitzinger.
You know, that's the thing. I talked about him racing David Green, but he's got one obstacle, and that's Busch Lysander that he's got to get by first. And Lysander really looks like he's coming off the corners good.
Watch Labonte coming down into turn number 1. How fast here as you go down this main straightaway?
I would say they're probably reaching speeds maybe 140, 150 miles an hour. And that's the thing. They go into that turn 1 right there, and as I spoke earlier, doing so many things at one time.
Here he is pedaling up through turn 2 and up through the S's. You're riding with Terry Labonte and Texas Terry trying to chase down the leader in the lap car of Leitzinger.
You see how close those front-running cars come to those white lines, and as they make those turns, make this so they don't have to turn the steering wheel any more than possible. You want to run in as straight line as you can.
Oh, Larry Pearson has crashed. He was in 11th spot. Number 92, Larry Pearson has hammered it in. Or lost power, they say. Off the course. There is no sign of a caution yet, although I see they may be getting ready to lift a yellow out over the field. A bad break for Larry Pearson.
Yeah, he is so close to the, in fact, he's sitting on a part of the racetrack, so they'll have to. It looks like you know, there's some wheel marks going in there, Ken, as if he.
I thought he might have got spun around there when I saw that originally.
Either his marks or somebody else's, and he's sitting right on them. So. Well, the leaders just went by, and there's no caution.
There's no caution now. He may have coasted to a halt there. Here you see Nemechek working on the inside of Terry Labonte, the number 87, pressing his luck against Terry for second place.
You saw him go by Larry Pearson. You know, I don't know if I want to stay there long. As much action has been down in turn 1 today.
And they're showing the caution for that portion of the racetrack. So the other drivers will know that there is something unusual in that turn. And there you see what it is. Larry Pearson down on the inside.
Chad Little running in 7th place in the pits. Ooh, nice move. Leitzinger going back another spot. He is a lap down, but now Terry Labonte has a clear shot at the leader, David Green. So there you see Green's advantage. It's about 10 car lengths. As you watch Terry, and you want to watch some footwork, watch this.
It's Terry Labonte.
And if you notice, when he shifts gears, he never pushes the clutch. That's the thing about the Jericho transmission, is you can shift through the gearbox without using the clutch just by getting it to the right RPMs. And that way it frees his other foot up. He's going from the gas pedal to the brake there and back onto the gas.
You talk about throttle control. It looks like it's flat out on the bottom all the time, and much of the time it is. But it's when it isn't flat out that Terry Labonte is so strong. Woo.
Just watching Terry there, it looks like he does use the clutch to downshift, but when he's going up through the gearbox, he's strictly using the throttle.
And all you've got to do is miss one shift on one corner, and that'll ruin your day.
If you notice there, he's coming through the S's through turn 2, 3, and 4. He's not coming completely out of the gas. He's just barely cracking a little bit. And there he's on the long straightaway. Pumps the brakes a little bit, getting down into the inner loop before he gets in there. Make sure that brake's there before you have to get in that high-speed braking.
He just taps those brakes, just feathers them a little.
They call it a security blanket. Let me make sure it's there before I really have to use it.
That's the one you don't want to feel sink all the way to the floor.
Hey, if you notice the last time around that Larry Pearson was not sitting down there in that position anymore.
He rolled out.
Yeah, he backed his car up into the pits.
And as you mentioned, Ned, a while ago as the cars was coming through there, there was a yellow flag waving in that corner. And that's the unique thing about road course racing. Unlike an oval, when you see a caution at an oval, that means it's caution on the whole racetrack. You might see one of the corner workers here at Watkins Glen waving a caution, and that means there's trouble in that corner and that corner only.
Look at this battle for the lead. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Lots of stuff going on down here in the leader's pit, Ken Squire. David Green's crew never intended to try to make this on one stop only, but right now they're saying if they keep having as many cautions as we have been getting, they'll get to the halfway point without needing a stop. On the other hand, they say they're going to definitely need one in the other half. Meanwhile, Pearson is behind the wall. He has lost oil pressure. Chad Little's car was stuck in high gear. He also made a pit stop.
So it may be well that Pearson just coasted it in. Nemechek was able to move Leitzinger offline. Battle for the lead, coming down into the corner, and it's going to be Terry Labonte out in front. As they hit the interloop, Terry Labonte is first, Green back to second, and 96 has spun Stevie Reeves. Stevie Reeves trying to get it fired up and get back out of here.
He was running one lap down in 30th position.
Here come those front three, and when Nemechek got Leitzinger offline, Craven moved underneath him as well. So the front four pretty much nose to tail, 2 or 3 car lengths between them. Stevie Reeves hoping to have a good day to help celebrate his grandparents' 50th anniversary this weekend. They were the ones that put up their house and everything else to get him so he could go racing in sprint cars years ago, and he wanted to make this an occasion for them. Right now it's not working like he wished. Look at Nemechek. Dive to the inside, and he's got Green pinned.
Well, he drove the car deep into the turn, and knowing that David would probably give him the running room he needed down there, and he did. So Nemechek has a great race car here today, and he's doing a good job of driving it.
Craven hugging the inside as he comes through turn 2. Then you see Leitzinger, and right behind him, Hermie Sadler is having a great run in car number 1. He's up to 5th position. This is a fine race for Hermie Sadler.
You know, what we've got to remember here, we're questioning is now David Green has 34 laps on those tires, excluding the cautions. So all these guys have fresher tires. You just wonder now, is this really playing a toll on David Green? He's about going to have to be in the pits here in about 67 laps, which is where we will be at the halfway point.
There's the Emporia, Virginia driver in the number 1 car, Hermie Sadler.
He's sideways.
Ooh, he's in front.
Into the tire wall.
Looked like he tried to get it back out of the way and launched it right into the wall. Hermie Sadler, who was running in 5th. Get that front end straight. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Well, don't you know that's a bad feeling?
Boy, it has to be.
Hello.
Driver's side looking right at him coming off of that turn right into you. They see you. And of course, they got spotters all around the racetrack. They'll be telling us, hey, there's a car sitting there in that turn. Be careful. Stay down on the inside.
Meanwhile, up in front, Nemechek coming after Terry Labonte.
And he's gaining on him.
Former Grand National champion Joe Nemechek. Now he's a Winston Cup driver. His roots are certainly in this division. Caution is out. Caution on the track. That would make it, what, 3 or 4 we've had. That's the 4th caution going into the 10th lap of yellow here today. And as Ned was telling you earlier, it's a bit like riding on a tightrope out here today. You get off this asphalt and into the grass, and you might as well be in a catch net because you're not going to go very far from there. Take a look at this pass for the lead a moment or 2 ago. Headed for the interloop. That's David Green, Buzz McCall car on the outside, and here comes Terry.
He just simply outbrakes him going into the turn. David gave him that room, and I think Terry knew that David would do that. David drove for Bobby Labonte, Terry's brother, and they worked out in the same shops for a number of years, so they're very close still, good friends, and he knew that he'd let it go. And here's Hermie Sadler still trying to get going.
It's like he can't get it in reverse, maybe.
Oh, boy, that's frustrating. He's trying to
bounce off those tires.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. He can't get it in reverse, so he's trying to bounce her back far enough.
If I can get it back just far enough where I can turn these wheels.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Hermie's had such a tough year. He really had a good run running in 5th or 6th place there.
Okay, what's the next solution?
Help.
He's waving for somebody now. Come on.
I've tried my solution here, and it's simply not working.
Both of his Grand National wins were short track wins down at Rougemont, North Carolina, but he certainly had one cooking here today.
Now, what's going to be interesting here, you just got to believe David Green has got to come in the pits and pits. Even though we're about 5 laps away from halfway, you know, he's not been in. He has no fuel, so you got to believe he's going to come in. Now, what I wonder is the other leaders may be going to come in and pit with him, and that'll let him go to one more stop.
Take a look at what happened to Hermie Sadler, running in 5th. Up out of the end of the S's.
Looks like the car just come around on him, got loose. Don't look like he really had no help. Ooh, really lucky there.
Backs right into the tires and then spins around.
From the helicopter, this is going to be breathtaking.
Yeah, we'll look right straight down on it as he comes off the turn. See, there's no car close to him right there, and all of a sudden it just goes around.
No warning at all.
Yeah, back end gets right out from under. A lot of cars behind him, and look how they splits them there and right back into the tires, shoots him back around the other way out onto the racetrack. And the air, there's a good bit of damage done to the left front of that car, left side of the car, really. And says, oh, no. Oh, man.
Boy, a long ride for Hermie Sadler and a longer day.
That's too bad.
We'll take a commercial break and be back to Watkins Glen. Grand National action. Trucks upcoming later this afternoon right here on CBS. We're back at Watkins Glen, New York. On the 39th lap, David Green is pitted for tires. Randy LaJoie came in as well. Misty day after heavy rain all night here in Watkins Glen. Let's find out how things are at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, thanks, Ken. It's been much the same. The weather here, well, a lot of rain this morning, a bit of dryness in the track earlier on, but right now it is raining and they're working hard to dry the racetrack. You hear the jet dryer in the background. Right now, temperature in the 60s, but the humidity is very high and showers are forecast on and off today. Nonetheless, they hope to get Nazareth's first ever race truck event underway this afternoon, the 9th of the season. On the front row, Jimmy Hensley in the Dodge, his first ever pole position in this series, and Jack Sprague, who already has one victory this year. Welcome to Nazareth. I'm Mike Joy along with Buddy Baker.
Well, Jimmy Hensley surprised himself. He shaved off a half a second of his practice time when he qualified. A great lap.
You've got to think the Dodge is poised for their first victory in this series, perhaps today. But the competition will be tough along with all the regulars. 5 Winston Cup drivers and retired Winston Cupper Harry Gant are in the field. And leading that group, the man who won last week on CBS, Rusty Wallace, who nursed his fuel to victory at Michigan to win his 4th race there. Glenn Jarrett's with him.
Well, thanks, Mike. What do you do when you win that Winston Cup race? You take the week off. Not Rusty Wallace. First truck race ever. A little bit of rain here, but boy, you got that thing dialed in.
It's running really good right now. We've had a good qualifying run, and the truck's running good in practice, so I got my fingers crossed. Hope we can do a good job today.
Well, Rusty Wallace, as always, one of the guys to beat anywhere he goes, Mike. He's going to be tough.
Well, he's going to be, and right now so is the weather. We're hopeful of going racing a little later on this afternoon here at Nazareth. Ken?
Mike here at Watkins Glen. We've just gone back to racing. Just taken the green again, and there you see the start with number 5, Terry Labonte, showing the way as he goes for 3 in a row. Nemechek right on his tail across the line, followed by Ricky Craven in hot pursuit. And then Todd Bodine is in there. Running in 4th spot, Michael Waltrip in 5th. Here you see Jeff Green nosing down to the inside, right behind Mike McLaughlin in that beautiful number 34 in 7th spot. Labonte looking back at Nemechek with Ned Jarrett, Larry McReynolds alongside. I'm Ken Squire here at Watkins Glen, New York. Big doubleheader on CBS today. Wheeling the wheels between Watkins Glen and Nazareth, PA. Up through the S's they come. And there's Hermie Sadler's number 1. Looking very sad right now after a 5th place run for some time.
Headed back to the garage area now.
Through the inner loop. They have Terry Labonte in front and Nemechek not giving a bit. And there you see that 81. Haven't seen him much before, but Todd Bodine intends to be around to see what he can do with some of these Winston Cup stars up in front.
Which this is in the backyard where he grew up here in Chemung County. Or Chemung County, I guess, adjacent here to this county we're in. Are we in Schuyler County or Chemung County?
We're in Schuyler County here in Chemung's just up the street.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, he started on a quarter-mile dirt. It's a whole heap different from here. But both he and McLaughlin, wow, look at Nemechek using up track and then some, chasing Labonte.
That was coming off turn 11, and they're headed down towards turn 1 now in single file. Do a little drafting down through there because, as Larry mentioned, you're getting 140, 150 miles an hour. Not enough to draft by someone because you have brakes to contend with and gearing down when you get there. Halfway point as they went by that time.
Down to halfway on this one. Halfway when they come by this time.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Halfway when they come by this time. Get us there with Terry Labonte staying up in front of that second red and yellow car. That's Mike McLaughlin. They had a big day for him in Waterloo, New York, which is handy by as well. He went out to sign a few autographs for an hour. I understand that he stayed there and signed autographs for 7 hours.
You know, I was talking to his crew chief, Clyde McLeod. They're coming back up here in a few weeks to test with a Winston Cup car. I think they intend on running the Winston Cup event here in August.
Great driver from the modified ranks of NASCAR. Magic Shoes McLaughlin, number 34, putting on a great show. Streaks of fire down the side of that yellow and red car. For real right now as he continues to keep it cooking and move up on those leaders. There you see the 44 Bobby Labonte. There's Kenny Wallace in number 8 back in 9th spot right now.
He was up here in the booth with us last year.
Yeah.
He said he'd much rather be on the racetrack.
Yeah, but boy, he's fun to be with. Another guy knows his racing, Larry. Is that Kenny Wallace? Oh, here comes the number 3 down on the inside of McLaughlin. They're giving it a good shot. There is Jeff Green in the 3 getting beneath McLaughlin in that fight. Got it. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
Interesting situation earlier in the race. David Green got a little finger wagging from NASCAR for getting on the power too quickly on a restart. The same thing just happened with Terry Labonte on that last restart. Bob Labonte a little unhappy when I asked him what exactly happened, but he said that Terry won't be penalized, so life goes on as usual. Dick Berggren.
Well, speaking of Bob Labonte, that 63-year-old father of both Bobby and Terry Labonte has been working his brains out here at the racetrack, trying in particular to get the 5 car as fast as it had been. That car won the race here last year and the year before, has not been as quick until just now. Why? Last night, after the last practice, they changed the transmission, the rear end, 2 shocks, 2 springs, 1 sway bar, 1 carburetor, and Bob said if I could find anything else to change on this car, I'd probably change it too. Looks like it worked. Huh, Ken?
Well, it's worked to a degree, but right now we've changed that front spot. Nemechek is there. Terry Labonte has fallen to 2nd spot. Craven hanging all over his tail end. They come back down the main straightaway. Here's Craven taking a shot on the inside of Terry Labonte. The nose is back in for turn 1.
You know, I see Todd Bodine running there 4th. Certainly his car is working good, but you know, I think this is another good case of momentum. He got that Busch Grand National win a few weeks ago, and it's like it's just carrying over into the races that he's running right now.
There you see it, that 81 started, or 61, 81, Todd Bodine, the Cape Canaveral rig, started in 13th today, and he's up in the 4th.
Michael Waltrip in 5th.
You know what, Joe Nemechek, this says a lot for how good his car is here. When you drive by Terry Labonte on a road course, you've got a good working race car.
Nemechek drawing away. Let's take a look at that lead change that put Nemechek from Labonte looking back.
Got down into turn 1, out braking, drove it in deeper, and got back to the gas sooner and drove on by him.
That's the 2nd time he's done that today. We've seen that same maneuver where he just took a very deep breath, bit the bullet, and stuffed it down the bottom of the racetrack to take a spot. Did that to Craven. Now he's done it to Terry Labonte. There you see Todd Bodine front 4, still stacked pretty tightly together. that the front 5. Give Michael Waltrip credit, that number 12, as he wheels right up on them as well.
For the Wood brothers in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, but this is his own team. The car that he's driving here now. Has to be more careful with this car. So he pays the bills.
Like his brother's owner-driver. Yeah. Gives you a new approach, new outlook on the world of stock car racing. More from the Glen shortly.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Mobile Motor Oil. Changing oil for over 125 years.
Race summary with 44, the 82 laps complete. Been 3 different leaders, 4 different lead changes, average speed at 88 miles an hour, and 4 cautions. Last year there were 7 cautions in the race. They're the cars that have retired. Porter broke a transmission. A.J. Frank crashed. Jeremy Mayfield had a bad break here after running so well early. 37 cars at the outset of this one, and we are currently working lap 45. Joe Nemechek has the advantage. Terry Labonte is in second spot. Ricky Craven is in third. Todd Bodine in fourth.
And now Todd Bodine has passed Ricky Craven, taking over third. And we noticed that Michael Waltrip has dropped back. He was right up on the back bumper of the front 4 there a moment ago, and we understand that he might be experiencing an engine problem. His engine doesn't sound, as he comes by us here in the booth, doesn't sound like it's running all up the power. In fact, Jeff Green, as you see moving on the inside of him as he head down into turn 1, passes him pretty easily on the straightaway, so Michael's got a problem there.
Take a look right here.
McLaughlin goes by as well.
Yeah, break for Michael Waltrip as he backs up. Jeff Green through. There's McLaughlin by, then Michael Waltrip.
You know, talk about Jeff Green, that to be spinning out early in the race, that's quite a recovery because he's just moved his way back into the top 5.
And that's putting Michael Waltrip back to 7th position.
Todd Bodine goes by Terry Labonte.
Yeah, Terry moved over and let him go.
Wonder if Terry's experiencing some sort of problem.
Todd Bodine at 32 years of racing, and I mean race. From the day he was born, he was in this business. Dad at a racetrack up here. And he's using every bit of his experience as he closes down on these top runners. Says he comes up here every year for garlic pizza and Mangiolatos. I guess that's all those vampires and all those other tracks. Probably hold him up for a whole season with that pizza.
You know, Todd's car owner is Ron Neal. In case that name don't sound familiar to some people, when Mark Martin first come about on the Winston Cup circuit, sat on those poles when he first started racing, Ron Neal was the engine builder. A lot of people remember Prototype engines. Ron was the owner of Prototype Motors, a really renowned engine builder.
And his son, Jeff, is a pretty good racer. In fact, he's going to qualify next week at Milwaukee for Todd on that very busy 4th of July weekend. Another racing family, the Neals. There you see Todd Bodine. Now up into second, Terry Labonte having to settle for third. First time in 2 years we've seen him back up. Terry Labonte, that is. Here is Dick Berger.
Pit stops will be coming up pretty soon, Ken Squire. In fact, Joe Nemechek's crew has got the signboard out already. They had planned to go to lap 50. When the car comes in, they intend to make no changes at all. Right next to them is Ricky Craven's pit. I asked Scott Maxim, his team manager, when they were coming in. Coyley, he said, pretty soon.
Well, it should be pretty soon, shouldn't it, gentlemen?
Most of these guys was in on lap 17, and that was with 65 to go. So if you break that up, that's like 33, 32 laps. There's really no sense in stretching it longer than that. You're just putting yourself vulnerable to be running out of fuel, so you might as well get in there. Now, the interesting thing is going to be to watch David Green. He was in on lap 36. He's going to have to make one more stop. But what he could do, he could run this thing close to the end of the race and just come in for a little bit of fuel only. So if this thing does go green, it'll be interesting to watch.
David Green having to fight his way back into this race. He is currently running in the 12th position. Here's Terry Labonte showing you these live pictures from third spot as he chases Todd Bodine in second and Nemechek in the lead.
There you see him going up the long stretch between turn 4 and 5. He had grabbed high gear. Now he went to third and back to second as he enters the inner loop. once he gets out of the inner loop, headed into turn 9 there, he'll go into third gear and then grab fourth and back to third before he gets to that left-hander.
Craven all over him. Fourth place, Ricky Craven right there on Terry Labonte trying to make the pass. Just behind them, Jeff Green and McLaughlin having their own war.
You know, I heard him talking about Bob Labonte making all those changes. Ned, you watched us last year. That just sounded like a typical 28-car morning on race morning.
Yeah, I was surprised. You guys do it with so much confidence, though. You go in there and you change everything on the race car sometimes.
Well, we just saw, let's see, who just...
Terry Labonte, I believe, is in
just
the
came
pits.
in. Terry Labonte is making that pit stop right now. You're with him on pit road.
Sure, it'll be a 4-tire change and some fuel. This definitely should take him to the end of the race.
No worries about losing a lap here unless they just have something go bad wrong, because you can still get back out there, but you want to make as good a pit stop as you possibly can.
Lap 49, 35 mile an hour on pit road today for these Grand National competitors.
Didn't really see him make any adjustments as far as wedge, but you never know. You can certainly make a lot of adjustments and make a difference with air pressure in the tires here. Just a small change can make a big difference in actual what would consider the spring rate of that tire.
That amazes me, that having just 1 pound of air pressure can make such a difference.
Bill Stevens.
Down here in Labonte's pit, yeah, you're right. Routine pit stop, really. Just 4 tires and a fresh load of fuel. No adjustment on the chassis. I'm going to grab Bob Labonte in a second here when he can give me a few seconds and find out if there's a problem with the car, since Terry is falling back.
Leader coming in. Nemechek on pit road. This at lap 50. Final stop under green for Nemechek. Leader in this race. He's had just a tremendous running race recently. Last 9 starts, he's finished in the top 10 8 times. Here's Dick.
In for what should be his final pit stop. Right behind him, Rick Craven has also just slid to his stop, and Kenny Wallace behind him. This will be a routine stop with Keith Plaza doing the front tires, Jason Lee on the back tires, Chris Gadd is your gas man, and Jeff Weiss, the crew chief, is looking for the spot to put the jack under. He is filling in today. A little slow getting the jack under the car as well, and Craven is going to beat Nemechek out of the pits as a result. 27-9, slow stop
on Nemechek. And there you see Craven getting that all-important track position.
You know, in his crew's defense, it's an awkward deal changing left side tires first. There's certainly a lot of Winston Cup crews that has perfected it, but it just when you change rights first for so many races and you have to come here and change everything, it can really throw your guys off sync.
To Bill Stevens. Something's wrong with Nemechek. You saw a few puffs of smoke just a moment ago.
Yeah, he's not up to speed, Ken.
Todd Bodine.
Todd Bodine.
That's Todd coming out of pit road, but we saw Nemechek coming out, and I don't think he came up to speed.
Pretty much all the teams run the Jericho transmission here, and it can be pretty easy to miss a shift sometime, and I wonder if that's what's happened with Nemechek. Dick Berggren, can you tell us?
At this point, we think he blew up. The message we're getting is that he blew up. Meanwhile, your leader is in the pit, Todd Bodine. He blew up in the first lap of practice. Right now, that engine is running extremely well. Bodine just about alone here on pit road. He is alone. Only car here, 4-tire change, routine stop for Todd Bodine. A slow stop, but a routine stop nonetheless. He is still here. A lot of trouble on the right rear tire. There he goes.
Gash there on
28.8. Not a good stop for Todd Bodine.
Side of the car. We watched this 87 car a moment ago came around. It's running very, very slowly as it went out. It didn't even attempt to take the interloop. So it looks like Nemechek's day is done. Motors expired on number 87.
What a tough race.
Really a shame. He had an awfully good race car here all day long.
He really did.
And was able to fight his way past Craven and by Terry Labonte. A breather for those two. We got another one blowing up going down the main straightaway into turn number 1. Big smoker. That's the 00 Buckshot Jones.
There he is. He started as he was headed down into turn 1. It started smoking, and it certainly hasn't let up.
A little whisper of smoke came out just underneath the flag stand, but it got serious as it went further along.
And, you know, I believe right here the last thing, and I keep talking about this, but I think it's going to be a pivotal point in this race. David Green, I don't think, wants to see no caution flag because he's out there. Once all these guys pit, him and Randy LaJoie should be way out in front. And, again, they should be able to run until near the end of the race.
Here's the problem being addressed by Joe Nemechek, and he just pulled it off a few moments ago.
Okay, look in your upper right corner as we see Labonte coming off, and here Nemechek's just going straight on through, waving his hand, you know, to the traffic back there. There's something wrong with his race car. He knows that he isn't going to continue on racing, so he went straight through there to try to coast on back around.
I'm sure these guys are going to try to figure out what is going to miss here, but what you got to remember, Joe does not run all of the races, so once you get off the lead lap and have a problem, there's really no sense in continuing. Dick Berggren, can you tell us more?
Well, I can tell you that Nemechek has a major engine problem, Larry McReynolds. He came in, the engine was running, but it sounded like it was on 3 cylinders, and those 3 cylinders were ill-timed. They have already gone down a couple of laps, and the crew is in the process of taking the air cleaner off as Nemechek just quietly sits behind the wheel and lets them do their work. He will not win today at Watkins Glen.
Randy LaJoie coming on a pit road, and there may be some smoke out of car number 74 on his second car after one was destroyed yesterday in qualifying. Randy LaJoie has had a good run going today. He was running in 6 as he came onto pit road.
Now he had there you can see him turning around and headed back behind the wall, so apparently there is something else wrong because he came in with David Green when they made their pit stop, so he would not been due for a pit stop for a little while yet.
David Green now into 4th position, tracing the line of Michael Waltrip, the leader, Green and McLaughlin. Fifth caution of the day, and it may be for the oil distributed by Buckshot Jones as he came around the track after the engine let go on that one. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berggren.
The look and the smell in Randy LaJoie's pit is of oil. Randy sits behind what was a steering wheel. He's put it up on the dash, wiping his face. What happened, Randy?
Well, just continuation of yesterday. I drove in the wall qualifying and killed a brand new race car. And, these guys on this base motorsports team, they put this together all night last night, this morning. What a great race car they give me. This thing was flying. I was having a good time. But I need a rear end gear, back cover. That was one of the things I was worried about last night, but back cover and quick change broke. And, I think that was just from a problem from yesterday that hit pretty hard yesterday.
This was a hastily assembled race car. Bill Stevens.
Buckshot Jones is hot stuff. He came into the pits a few moments ago. The transmission was on fire. It had blown transmission grease out and it caught fire. And while they were putting out that fire, crew chief Ricky Pearson noticed that the right rear brake rotor was on fire. So they had their hands full, but they think they can get him back into the race again. And by the way, Bob Labonte says there was no problem with Terry's car. Look for him to make a charge back to the front again.
Well, that's interesting news. And there you see Michael Waltrip, who had been leading for a while. He's on pit road. We now have 55 laps complete, 27 to go, and 19 cars in the lead lap. Still under caution, Ricky Craven now appropriates first, Todd Bodine in his second, Terry Labonte third, and Mike McLaughlin is in fourth. Michael Waltrip was in for an extended time. We'd had a report about his motor, and right now you're riding with the 8th place competitor. Let me change that. Number 63 was in 8th. I think they just reshuffled the standings. They put Curtis Markham back a little further in that car. But he's had a good day, and most Grand National drivers gain experience, try all kinds of things. However, Curtis Markham has the most unique story of all as to how he learned to drive road courses. A most unusual way.
I used to work for Utz Potato Chips back in Virginia, and I used to train people through the mountains there. So for fun, I would just kick the potato chip truck up in neutral when I was at the top of the hill and see how fast I could go down the hill in neutral. And I think that helped me more learning how to road race than anything else I've done.
Well, it's helped him to 12th position right now. He was up there for a moment in 8th as they were sorting him out after that pit stop. Now in 12th, Curtis Markham.
You know, if I was interviewing a driver for his credentials, I don't know if I'd buy that one, but he's hung out on the lead lap all day. You know, we've had 7 lead changes. That's a Grand National record here at Watkins Glen, and that just shows the level of competition in this Busch area on the road courses. Dick Bergeron, what have you got for us?
Well, I can follow up on Michael Waltrip for you, Larry. He was in for an extended pit stop because NASCAR held the car. The jack man, apparently, according to NASCAR, went over the wall too soon, so they held him on pit road 15 seconds. His engine has also been missing. He just made a second pit stop here. They lifted the hood, did a little bit of work at the back of the engine, slammed the hood, and Michael Waltrip's back on the racetrack.
So now they give us 20 cars in the lead lap, back to the Dillon car in 20th position, car number 72. So we got quite a shootout here with Mike Dillon up there as well.
And one of those drivers that got back in the lead lap was Jimmy Spencer. When the leaders pitted under the green, he was ahead of Michael Waltrip, but not ahead of those other leaders. When they made a pit stop, that put him back in the lead lap. So watch the excitement there as we get ready to go, green flag racing.
57th lap underway, back under green.
You know, the thing here, Ken, there's about 25 laps to go. All the leaders have tires and fuel, so pit strategy pretty much is out of the picture.
Is that Tommy Houston got out a little high there? Anyway, leader coming up. And at the present time, Ricky Craven. I say the present because this race has swapped leads more than any other race they've ever had. Craven out in front for the moment. Headed for the interlude. Turns 5, 6, 7, and 8 right here. Craven does like to road race. Doesn't have much experience in this department. But there he is. Find himself sorted through some lap cars. Rodney Combs' car leading this group. Cars at the tail end of the lead lap. Here comes Craven. And there comes Terry Labonte right with him.
And Todd Bodine has taken the lead.
And Bodine indeed scoots through on Craven.
And when they ran up on some lap traffic, I think is when he got by.
Todd Bodine has taken the lead in lap traffic and has no advantage to speak of. Well, maybe a car length or two here in the main straightaway.
Now, right out in front of him is Patty Moise, as we see her coming into turn one. She is in the lead lap, but she's almost a lap down.
Didn't take him long to dispense with Heveron and Dillon, who were in those cars, and squeaking right through was that number 81 right there, Todd Bodine. Patty Moise giving you these pictures out the back of her car. She tries to stay in that lead lap, but here comes the 81 Todd Bodine up around her.
Well, he just drove up there and just drove right around her.
He definitely won the drag race. Headed off into the inner loop.
So, Todd Bodine has now found himself away into first place. Craven for second. Lap car of Patty Moise in between them. Running up in third. Now let's see if Terry Labonte's going to improve on his spot. McLaughlin's right there with him in third. And you see Chad Little. Green dropped back a spot. Chad Little has found another position. He's into fourth, and Jeff Green has fallen to fifth.
Pat Moise still among them there. So it's Bodine, Craven, Terry Labonte, McLaughlin, and Jeff Green, Bobby Labonte, and David Green. So David making a pit stop on this last caution. Didn't hurt him too bad because about half of those who were on the lead lap also came in, and he beat all of them out. So that gave him better track position. It could have been a lot worse there.
It really could have been, but he's back there now. And again, everybody's pretty much on even keel as far as fuel and tires, so it'll just be interesting.
Todd Bodine pulling away. Ooh. Patty Moise down on the inside as see David Green up on the outside wheeling through. Remember that David Green in that 95 set on the pole, now in 8th position.
Phil Carson's right behind him in 9th place. Jason Keller is 10th. Hasn't missed the race today, but he's been hanging right in there on the lead lap.
Dick Trickle back in 11th.
Dennis Setzer still on the lead lap. Dennis started way back in this field, but has hung in there on the lead lap, being shown currently in 12th position.
Jimmy Bound in 13th and 14th. Looks like Kenny Wallace is back up to 14th. Head an up and down day. Michael Waltrip in 15th. Here we are, riding with that second place struggle. Craven there, Terry Labonte right after him. And in front, driving away, is Todd Bodine.
You know, Ken, Todd has not run a Busch Grand National race here since 1993, but in the first 3 events, he finished 5th, 2nd, and 5th. So he, too, has been accustomed to running up front in the Busch Series here at Watkins Glen.
Only his 4th time here. Consistent every time he's been on the road course. Todd Bodine. And you can see that lead continuing to expand over Craven and Terry Labonte.
Certainly what Todd Bodine wants to see is for Ricky Craven and Terry Labonte to start dogfighting back there, and maybe he can pull away and put a little distance on them.
This could be a big day for Todd Bodine. He comes in here 3rd in Grand National points behind Green and Randy LaJoy. Saw LaJoy, he's over there having his car worked on behind the wall. David Green a little further back in the field as Todd continues to lead. It'll be a big step up for Todd Bodine in this number 81 Chevrolet, leading the event for Ron Neal and company.
Say Ricky Craven and Terry Labonte right now, their cars look pretty evenly matched. Craven's not really pulling away from Terry, and Terry is really not gaining on him.
Getting down to 21 laps remaining. That start on the truck race has been pushed back a bit. We thought that would be getting underway while we were still closing this one out, but it's still raining up at Nazareth, so it looks like a 2:40 at least before they're going to take green with the NASCAR Truck Series in Nazareth, Pennsylvania on that mile today. Mike Joy and Buddy Baker standing by to bring you the action there. By 9 to 10 car lengths, you have Todd Bodine continuing to surprise everyone here. After qualifying 13th spot, he has slugged it out, driven his way through the field, and there you see the distance over 2nd, 3rd place, and 4th place McLaughlin. Here's McLaughlin just clearing the turn. Right after him comes Chad Little in 5th, then Jeff Green in 6th, Bobby Labonte in 7th, and David Green is in 8th.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, the car that Todd had those finishes in was the 34 car now that Mike McLaughlin's driving now, when he was driving for Clyde McLeod and those boys.
Update from Dick Berger.
Having had very much experience out here on the road course, he blew an engine yesterday in practice, has had very little practice as a result, but boy, is he getting the job done out here, Ken.
Yes, indeed. Terry Labonte is getting the job done, and he's closing on Craven to give it another shot for 2nd place. Not that time.
Ooh, Craven gets a little loose as he goes through the inner loop.
Watched him the last few laps. He looked like he was getting a little bit loose. The rear just wasn't biting coming up out of the corner.
Well, this ought to be fun watching here as Terry Labonte zeroes in on Ricky Craven.
Grabbed high gear, headed toward turn 10. He'll downshift right there. Tried out brake Craven. Craven gets a good bite up off the corner. Head toward turn 11. Right-hander right there.
This is where you can really make it if you come off this corner right. I mean, worth the position. Craven came off well, but you saw it swerve a little. Here's Labonte closing up. 150 miles an hour, shifting down, going to turn 1.
You saw he grabbed high gear, but he didn't stay there long because turn 1 comes up in a hurry, and you got to get back down to 2nd gear.
Meanwhile, look at McLaughlin.
Yeah, you got to be impressed with him. He's hanging right there with those guys.
He had the best announcement of all yesterday. His sponsor's going to be with him another year. He's the one he really liked.
Yeah, that's good news, especially midway point of the season.
You know, Ken, you asked me earlier today, you know, about road racing. And, you know, again, it's have you had a good run on a road course? I know when I went to work for Robert Yates Racing in '91, Davey told me about a month in advance, I don't like road racing. We went to Sears Point. No, we didn't have the best car, but we won the race. He couldn't wait to get here to Watkins Glen later on that year.
What made the difference?
I think just working on the car, trying to build his confidence up, and being there at the end. We maybe didn't have the best car that day, but we did win the race. We was in position to win.
By better than 10 car lengths, Todd Bodine continues to draw closer to victory here at Watkins Glen. Well, later today, CBS Sports takes you to Hartford, Connecticut for live final round coverage of the Canon Greater Hartford Open. D.A. Weibring is the leader. This is after 3 rounds, had a stroke on Kevin Sutherland. That's coming up later today on CBS Sports. Got another caution, and here's the reason. It's the bottom of the carousel turn, turn 9. First, we saw the 63 riding in 17th position, Curtis Markham, slam into the wall, and then shortly thereafter, Ricky Craven battling up in front, one of the top 3 cars. He's into the wall there as well, indicative of maybe a problem on the track. In-car can give us these pictures, Ned.
We'll see what happened. We thought that maybe there was some oil or something on the racetrack that caused them to both go off in basically the same spot. That's Markham going into the tires, and I don't know, it just looked like that he slid off the track and right into the tires. Once he got onto that grass, he didn't have a lot of control of the car, and you can see he banged up the front end of it.
And then Ricky Craven came in right after. Within, maybe 10-15 seconds, the Craven car landed in the same place. You see Curtis Markham out walking around down there.
Yeah, he got out and went over to talk to Craven to be sure he was okay. But you wonder if Craven maybe didn't go in first, because he was running in front of Curtis Markham. Craven was up there in the top 5, and Markham was farther back in the field.
Did get Craven pushed away and going. You know, that's really not that fast of a part of the racetrack, because you just have come out of the inner loop into that right-hander. Again, when you see 2 cars wrecked like that at the same place, you question, is there some sort of liquid on the racetrack?
On the other hand, that 17 was on the tail end of the lead lap, and it well could be that he was leaking something, that Markham, the 63 car, was well back. And there may have been a consultation flag about to go out on him and slid in some oil. There's the 63, and here comes Craven in afterward.
Right. Yeah, the 63 was there. You're right, Ken. I was wrong. And here he comes into, he doesn't hit too hard.
No, and that's why he drove it back out.
Yeah.
But I might add, he did lose a lap while sitting there.
So, still bad news for Ricky Craven, Ned, going down the lap here after putting on such a great show for so many laps. 8 lead changes among 6 drivers thus far here at Watkins Glen. Here's Dick Berggren as Craven pits.
Well, Craven's problem, Ken Squire, at least according to Scott Maxim, is that he got into oil in that turn, and that's what put him off course. Then once he got off course, the transmission got locked between gears. That's why he couldn't get going. Right now, the crew is going to do a 4-tire change on the car. His wife, KK, who celebrated her 6th anniversary, I guess Ricky's 2, last night, is looking behind the pit wall very dejectedly. Not a good wedding present, Ken Squire.
May want to take back one of those years. Motors off on car number 2. Now, that's the second time we saw the Hermie Sadler, number 1. Now we've seen Craven's car get locked in between gears, guys, out there on the course. Tell us about what happened in that situation.
A lot of time that can happen with the Jericho transmission. Again, it's nothing that's really a deficiency about the Jericho. It's just the way that it's built. It has a straight cut gears, and a lot of times you'll miss a shift with them. If a lot of people, probably the most incident I remember is Jeff Gordon at Pocono a couple of years ago, missing a shift at the beginning of a restart, and it's just easy to get hung in between gears. We're working on things like that right now, putting stops and things in them, but it's just easy to get hung in the gear and not be able to get into reverse.
Let's go to Bill Stevens.
The oil that Ricky Craven spun in came from the number 63 car of Curtis Markham. Jeff Hensley's the crew chief. What did Curtis tell you?
Well, he said he really didn't know what happened. We'd lost a cylinder, and we don't know whether the motor actually blew up or we blew an oil line off. But been a long weekend for the Lysol Pontiac. We had a couple of problems, and we had a brake problem all day long from the start of the race. A master cylinder went bad or something. We're not really sure, but we made a lot of pit stops trying to fix it. But this is the only race the Lysol Pontiac hadn't been running at the end of the race this year. It's just a shame it had to come in a race sponsored by Lysol. So, but we go to Milwaukee next week. It's a good track for us. We'll do the best we can there and maybe pick up one.
And it's a shame for a guy who loves to road race, Curtis Markham.
5th in points as he came into today's battle, and there are the remains of number 63. Hey, we'll see you at Milwaukee next Saturday. The trucks are in Milwaukee next Saturday afternoon, and they're on CBS. Hope you'll be with us. We're back at Watkins Glen, New York, as they bring in the Curtis Markham car number 63 after it hammered the wall over in turn 9, the carousel turn here. Hard. Ricky Craven slid in his oil, came off the track. He's back on, and we are getting set for a restart with Todd Bodine leading, Terry Labonte in second, Mike McLaughlin to third. Chad Little's Pontiac is up into fourth. Tonight on CBS, a robber escaped from jail, got caught, and they let him go. And you wonder why crime is out of hand in America? 60 Minutes tonight. CBS Sunday Movie for the Boys, a musical comedy starring Bette Midler and James Caan, will be broadcast for the first time on network television right after. That's 60 Minutes tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. Getting ready to head up to the Greater Hartford and head to Nazareth this afternoon. Truck race. Inclement weather still prevailing there at this hour. They intend to get that one cranked up and running. Let's go down to Dick Berggren.
And Dick Berggren's with John Fabian, who is the crew chief for Todd Bodine. Less than 15 laps to go. John, how will you play your cards?
Well, we're going to hope to get a real good restart. And if Todd maintains his lap times like he was before, the little Cape Canaveral cruise ship will come in first.
And the 5-car right behind him, Terry Labonte, we have just heard over the radio he is having brake problems. Ken?
Well, there's the front 3 getting ready to go here. Here are the point standings. Hey, Todd Bodine, he can take a shot at Randy LaJoie, but the big advantage is still going to be David Green.
Yeah, you know, we've got about 13 to go here and got 14 cars still on the lead lap, so it's certainly not over here. And we got a lot of people up there that we hadn't talked a lot about. Chad Little worked his way into 4th. Bobby Labonte sitting there in 6th. So we're going to have quite a shootout here.
Phil Parsons, 4th in the standings, hoping to have a good run today. He stayed up here in this lead lap. He's running in 8th position. Channel Lock car. Then behind him is Dick Trickle in 9th. Jimmy Spencer's in 10th. Jason Keller's in 11th. Setzer in 12th. Got Kenny Wallace in 13th and Michael Waltrip in 14th among those leaders.
You see a lot of them weaving back and forth. We talked earlier, and this is going to be critical on this restart. These tires are hot. They're hot. They've got some laps on them. They got to make sure they get that rubber scrubbed off of them where it don't make them feel like they've got a flat tire when they go back racing.
Patty Moise still in this race, and she's moved up into 16th spot. She's 1 lap down to the leaders. Getting set on a restart. Close to decision time at Watkins Glen, New York. Todd Bodine in front, and the winner of the last 2 years and 3-time winner of this event, Terry Labonte, right with him. There goes Bobby Labonte down on the inside. Bobby Labonte in the 44 underneath Jeff Green in number 3, and he picks up 5th position.
And David Green was trying to pass his brother, but he didn't quite get by. That's Jeff Green in the car number 3. David Green in the car number 95, Buzz McCall car.
Car that's set on the pole at the outset. 7th overall right now. Back to the interloop here at Watkins Glen. There you see Todd Bodine with Terry Labonte bearing down on that number 5.
Before the caution came out, Todd Bodine was pulling away from everybody in the field. I think he hated to see that caution, but he knew it was necessary.
Mike McLaughlin in 3rd. And let's go to Bill Stevens for a moment.
It has not been the best of days for Jeff Fuller, driver of the number 47 Sunoco Chevy. Take us back, Jeff. What happened?
The Sunoco Chevrolet was running decent. Figured we had a top 20, and the shifter got locked up, and we came in and we got that adjusted, lost a lap, and went back out. And I just hit a curb and got into the, got the car upset and got into that tire barrier over there. But the guys have worked real hard, and I hate it for Sunoco. We've had a pretty tough year. Figured we had to turn around, but there's always next week.
How are we negotiating the traffic? There was a concern about the inexperience of some of the drivers. No problem?
Not for me, because this is only my 2nd time road course racing, so I'm probably one of the most inexperienced ones out there. But, like I say, it was running good, and, we probably definitely would have had I'd say a top 20, top 15 out of it, but it's just one of them unfortunate things. We'll have to get him at Michigan.
Jeff Fuller's day-to-day at Watkins Glen.
Battle up in front is just about even as they come through the interloop. They're side by side, and Labonte is going to go out in front. Here comes Bodine trying to dive back beneath him again.
Well, that was a major league move on the outside in that interloop.
Todd had all four wheels upon the ripple strips. He's still using up a lot of racetrack as they come out of turn 9. You just wonder, though, did Terry get his brakes cooled down under that caution enough, and will they make it to the end of these 82 laps?
Todd Bodine back to second. McLaughlin in third. Now the green and yellow car. And the colors of Chad Little come into fourth. Bobby Labonte back there in fifth. And just behind him, Jeff Green, David Green.
Now David Green making a move on his brother coming down into turn 1. You can see the cat car down on the inside, and he gets the position, moves into 6th. David Green passes his brother, Jeff Green.
And into 8th is Phil Parsons. Parsons in that number 10 channel lock car, putting on a great show, gets himself 8th spot. Great racing to finish this one up today. Dick Trickle to 9th, and Jimmy Spencer's in 10th. At Watkins Glen on the 2.4-mile course. Grand National Cars 200-mile race. And here you see Terry Labonte going for 3 in a row, making a move right there in the interloop, staying up there hooked up with that number 81, and wheel to wheel they went all the way around that thing.
Ooh, Chad Little gets high, and the 34 car gets back on him. Chad had moved up a position there.
Here comes Bobby Labonte after him too. Bobby Labonte trying to knock Chad Little down another spot.
Looked like Chad got up a little high in that turn 9, and that's where they had put some oil dry down, I think, from the oil from Curtis Martin's car while ago.
10 to go. 10 laps remaining on this one when they come by.
Well, you don't guess Terry Labonte's been playing with those guys all day, has he?
I don't think so.
Looked like when it come time to go, he went.
Yeah.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Chad Little has had a very exciting day here at Watkins Glen. His transmission has been locking in high gear. He has had to use a tremendous amount of brake getting into the corners, going into the first turn at the end of pit road on almost every lap. He lights the tires up. That's why he's having a hard time keeping up where he should be. Transmission locked.
Transmission, the issue, the critical issue on these cars, 3,400 pounds. Ooh. Lap car just decided not to take that interloop at all.
Well, I believe that's Tommy Houston, and he didn't want to get in there and foul up the leaders going as they were racing for position through those turns. Tommy is back in the 22nd position, 2 laps down. 3 laps down now.
Leitzinger is in 15th lap down. Louise in 16th. Beadlaw 17th. Heveron 18th. Dillon 19th. And Craven is in 20th. Craven well back here after his problem. 20th spot on Craven. And I believe they're showing him as 2 laps down now.
David Green really working on Chad Little here. You know, this will, if Chad can hang out in the top 5, it's hard to believe this will be Chad's first top 5 finish since last August at Bristol. So he's really had a tough go.
4 wins last year. Oh, a great start at Daytona. That win at Charlotte hasn't worked well with that Pontiac thus far this season, but looking pretty good right now if he can hold on. David Green exerting a lot of pressure on him at this moment. Here's Bill Stevens.
Well, we asked Bob Labonte if there was a problem with Terry Labonte's brakes. It's a short and simple story up here in the number 5 pit. He said, nope.
You bet.
Would you expect to hear anything other than that out of Bob Labonte?
No. Nope.
He isn't going to say much. He's using that gas pedal okay. Looked like they got it reinforced so he can read it.
Really mash on it.
Yeah. Terry Labonte.
That's okay.
Doing the heel and toe as he marches car number 5 around, looking for its 3rd victory. And here he is, tap dancing his way down once again. Just 10 and 11 here in turn 10, with that lead of about 3.5 car lengths over Todd Bodine in 2nd spot. What'd you say, 5th, 2nd, 5th, and this looks like another 2nd on Todd Bodine.
He's definitely learned his way around this place in a Busch car.
Whoa.
You know, Terry got by Todd, I won't say with ease, but he drove right by him. But Todd is hanging right there with him now. It just makes you wonder, is Terry running the car just hard enough to stay out front?
There's Bobby Labonte coming by in 4th position, number 44.
Yeah, he's making a move on up towards the front. On this restart, he was back there about 6th or 7th and has moved up to 4th and pulling away from the cars behind him.
Chad Little in the 23 stays in 5th, and these leaders continue to draw away.
Ken, we just heard Michael Waltrip go by. He's being shown in 14th place. He was leading the race before that last big caution, but he came in, and we had mentioned the fact that he had an engine going sour, and boy, it is really sour now. He
sounded like dice in a cup when he came by here. I wonder if Todd Bodine has anything more to give on this effort by number 61 to overtake the leader, Texas Terry Labonte.
I believe he's giving it all he's got, right? He needs to.
And look at that interval they pulled off in 3 laps. Back to in the 3rd spot. Bobby Labonte's in 4th. Chad Little still trying desperately to stay in front of David Green. There you see Chad coming into your picture, the green and yellow car, number 23. Right with him is David Green, the point leader and the pole sitter today. And just behind David is his brother, Jeff Green. Jeff Green now being shown 7th spot. Bill Parsons there in 8th. 7 laps remaining on this one. And Terry Labonte came into this race having to qualify well back in the well back for him. That's not the same as for everybody else. Is now out in front. Let's go to Dick Burke.
Well, John Fabian, can Todd do anything with that number 5 car, Terry Labonte?
I don't know. Terry's an awful good road racer. I think Todd's just as good, but I don't know if he can get him or not, but he's sure giving all he's got.
He sure is, Ken Squires.
Indeed. There you see Hebron back on the track, 19th position, getting himself sorted out after getting off in this very wet Watkins Glen green. Over an inch of rain last night, pretty much the story all over the eastern United States. Got the problem with Greater Hartford today. Looks like that's going to get underway, and hoping to get Nazareth in the truck race underway all today here live on CBS. Well, Todd Bodine's turned it up a notch, Ned. He's back there to 2.5, 3 car lengths.
He's keeping the pressure on, and that's what he needs to do. Terry knows that he can't make a mistake because Bodine is right there.
Terry's definitely using up all of the racetrack right now, getting all he can out of his car.
From 9th spot today came Terry Labonte. Now leading. Fought his way into the lead, lost it, fell back to 3rd, and made war in through here with Todd Bodine and took it back the hard way. I don't think Todd Bodine ever expected that Terry Labonte would make a move in that interloop area, and make the move he did.
You know, should Todd Bodine finish 2nd here today, I mean, he's got to be awfully proud to be sitting here running 2nd to Terry Labonte at a road course. That's got to really make him and his whole team feel good.
Looking for his 10th Grand National win, Terry Labonte. Feel pretty good about this one. He was not feeling very good yesterday after qualifying. Did not like the fact that he was not up there in that front row for the initial green.
He is working on it.
Boy, it is.
Terry had a good lead after he went up through the S's, but now Bodine has closed it right back in.
There you see Bobby Labonte back there in 4th, chasing McLaughlin in the 34, and Mike is having a wonderful day. Magic shoes. McLaughlin. He's tapping that brake and that clutch and that pedal perfectly today. Labonte looking back. Gets a little bit of a breather here, but it's about to disappear as they pull up on that interloop.
Yeah, you can see that Todd drives much deeper into that turn than does Terry.
It gives you a tremendous sense of the speed that they attain down through that carousel. Here they are sweeping out of turn 9. That straightaway, they'll bring them back to turn 10.
You know, when you're running 2nd to the leader, especially this end of the race, close to the end, that's one thing you got to do. You got to try to drive it in deeper and get under them and maybe outbrake them.
Labonte pulling away again for a moment.
It's just for a moment because here comes Bodine back again. This has been a strong point of the track for him in the last couple of laps.
4 to go this time by. Terry Labonte had that lead the last time, chipped right down to less than a car length. This time he has a little bit of breathing room, but not much.
Yeah, here's the strong suit for him, and here's the battle for that fifth position.
It's a little, yeah, fifth and sixth. David Green, Chad Little. Dick Trickle's got himself into that one too pretty good.
I was just fixing to say Dick Trickle has never been here in a Busch Grand National race, and if there's one guy on the Winston Cup circuit that hates road racing more than anybody, it would probably be Dick Trickle. But he's having an awfully good run today, sitting there in 8th place.
He probably gets to like it after today, huh? What do you think, Rick Reynolds?
That's it. All you need is a good run, get you a little momentum.
Okay, we got a great road racer right here. Back in 1965, the great Marvin Panch won this race, and some fellow named Ned Jarrett was second. What was that like?
Well, that's fun. It really was a lot of fun. We ran not only this road course, but Riverside, California, and Bridgehampton as well. So we'd get to run about 3 a year, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know. I was a pretty good dirt track racer, and some of those kids on the dirt track slid it around. A lot of difference, though, in the race cars. We had treaded top tires that we were trying to sling around these corners, and much heavier race cars, but it was fun.
Look at Terry Labonte. Look back now at second place. Todd Bodine from underneath Terry's car.
It's 3 to go. You almost get the feeling here Terry's going to have to make a mistake for Todd to be able to cash in on anything.
Boy, look at this race as they came off of turn 1. Just a super race between Chad Little, David Green, Jeff Green, Dick Trickle's back there, as you mentioned a moment ago. David Green was up beside Chad Little going into turn 1 and thought he had him passed, but he couldn't quite do it.
5th place at stake there between Chad Little and the Green brothers.
It's 2 weeks in a row the Green brothers has had a good race with each other.
Meanwhile, see Terry Labonte drawing away, gets himself about 4 car lengths, and a little more than that now. He is so smooth. Well, if Todd Bodine has anything to throw at him, better pull the trigger right now. Laps running down, but it's been a marvelous run for Todd Bodine, and this is number 81. Out there in his own little cruise ship.
That was 2 to go. Terry just knows he's just got to be smooth, make no mistakes here, and should be in good shape here.
Chad Little falling back a bit in his efforts.
He has both the Green brothers have gotten by him, and now Dick Trickle on the inside of him. And Trickle got off course going down into turn 1.
Oh, big one.
There's Bill Parsons.
Yeah, Parsons on the inside, Trickle on the outside.
I think that all started when Trickle went in the turn past Chad Little going into the turn, and he got a little wide, and Phil probably trying to dodge all that was going on, and he spun out also. So they're racing for position as they come back through here because they're both in the lead lap.
You bet. They're still fighting it out. But it puts the Green brothers up a little and gives a little bit of a breather to Chad Little. That'll put David Green and Jeff Green up there into the 5th and 6th spots. We'll move Chad Little back to 7th and give 8th and 9th to that pair you just saw spinning off, Phil Parsons and the Channel Master number 10 and Dick Trickle. White flag is out. This is the last lap. So if Todd Bodine has anything planned, he'd better unload it right now on number 5, Terry Labonte, to keep him from his 3rd straight and 4th overall Grand National win at Watkins Glen.
See Hermie Sadler there. They just went by him going into turn 1. Hermie's been out there making laps, but he caught him earlier getting into one of the tire barriers. He's back in 32nd position.
9 lead changes among 6 drivers here today. And that final change was for Terry Labonte unless Todd Bodine can make it 10 in the last half of this lap. Through the interloop. Labonte steady on course.
He is so smooth.
Held the track record until this year, and then 6 drivers smashed it with David Green, the fastest coming into this race. Headed for turn 10, final time. The 1984 Winston Cup champion, who just seems to have an affinity to this racetrack. clears turn 11. 3-car length advantage. And for the third straight year, Texas Terry Labonte is going to take it all back to the Lone Star State. Second spot across the line will go to Todd Bodine. It'll be McLaughlin finishing in third. Hermie Sadler will come across a few laps down.
Then comes Bobby Labonte and David Green, Jeff Green, Jimmy Spencer.
And at one point, Jimmy Spencer was a lap down, so he come back to really rebound and have a good finish.
Really did.
So we'll take a look at the final standings on this one. But what a great race for Terry Labonte as he comes home after starting 9th with that third straight win. And his record here, he won it in 91. In 92, he started 23rd, came home 3rd. 93, he had a really bad year, qualified 5th and finished 2nd. Then the last 3 years, every year it's been Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte back to victory lane, and he knows the way well here at Watkins Glen, New York. CBS Sports coverage of the Glen 200 continues after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the Watkins Glen 200 is sponsored by the makers of Lysol products, Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by smooth Busch beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch beer, the official beer of NASCAR.
Down to victory lane with Dick Berggren and Terry Labonte.
If you ask the experts would tell you with today's level of competition, it is impossible to win 4 out of 6 tries at any given Grand National racetrack. But you have done that. How have you done that, Terry?
I'll tell you what, I think we've been lucky a little bit. You know, we didn't really have the fastest car again today, I don't think, but we were leading at the end. Todd Bodine ran a great race there. His car was awful strong, and got beside him there, and you know, was able to hold him off. I don't know if I could hold him off or not, but it was a good run for us. Our Actron Chevy ran good all day.
Your dad, who has been your crew chief on and off since you were age 7, worked so hard on this car. What role did he play in today's victory?
Well, you know, yesterday afternoon, we knew we weren't very good. We came up here really thinking we'd probably have a chance to win the pole, and we got beat pretty bad yesterday qualifying. So we sat down yesterday, and he came up with some things to change, and we changed the transmission, rear end springs, and shocks, and, you know, he made the right decision. It worked good for us.
How worried were you before the start of the race today that all those changes might not come together and you might be out the back of the pack?
Well, I figured if I didn't wreck on the first lap or two, I might be okay, but I didn't know. The changes that we made weren't real big changes. There were a lot of small changes, and, you know, we just felt like it would help us a little bit, and it did.
3 in a row for Terry Labonte here at Watkins Glen. Ken Squire?
Bob Labonte, his dad, gave him his first car back in 1969, a quarter midget. Here's the winning pass, and has been with him year after year through thick and thin. Look at this pass.
Got up beside of him coming into the turn. He was on the outside, a critical point of the racetrack there, but he hung on out there, and Todd gave him plenty of running room out there.
He really did, Ned. That's something you just don't see, is passing on the outside of the inner loop. But again, Todd knew he was there, gave him plenty of racing room. Todd got up on the ripple strips, broke a lot of his momentum, and Terry went on and completed the pass.
Now let Terry Labonte take you for the ride into the lead.
Okay, as they go into that inner loop, he pulls up on the outside and just simply outbrakes him going into the turn. He'll go in there a little bit deeper in there. You can see he starts gearing down going into the turn. Todd gets back in front just a little bit there, but gets, as Larry said, gets on those ripple strips. You can see his car bounce up in the air, and that broke some of his momentum.
Turns 5, 6, 7, and 8. You take him in about a second and a half, and it made the difference and put him in front to stay. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
Todd Bodine, the second-place finisher. A weekend in 3 parts. You qualified down in 13, fought your way to the front of the pack, looked like you might have won, but it all finishes up with a guy who we expected maybe would do this, Terry Labonte, but you did a good job.
Yeah, I tell you, it's if you got to lose, you want to lose to someone like Terry Labonte. He's just awesome. I knew if I could keep a run up through the S's on him and not let him get me through there, I could keep him behind me because I think I had him covered in the rest of the track, but once he got that even run through him up the S's, I knew he was going to draft past me, and there's nothing I could do but sit there and watch it. But, you know, we tried after that, and just came up a little short. But, you know, Cape Canaveral Cruise Line is a new sponsor in the sport, and they've been great to us. And, you know, we got a lot of people, Glacier Ridge Water and Beverages on. You know, we got a lot of people that are around this area that support us, and we really appreciate it, and glad to be able to run second for them.
Despite Terry's experience, this is really a home track for you. You grew up around here. You've probably got plenty of laps on this course.
Well, not really. I've run, this is my 4th Busch race, and I got 3 Winston Cup races, so I don't have a whole lot of experience, but growing up here, it's a real special feeling to be able to run good like this.
Well, if you live nearby, you can get a little bit more practice now before next year. Thanks a lot, Todd.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Ken.
Todd Bodine, who's down in North Carolina these days, but his roots are here in this area of the Finger Lakes of New York. We're at the Chemung Speedway at one time. He'd follow an older brother named Jeff around. Everybody knows the rest of that story. Back in a moment. Well, the flags are coming down here at Watkins Glen after Terry Labonte has won this 200-mile Grand National race. As to what's transpiring up at Nazareth, Pennsylvania, let's go there right now with Mike Joy. Mike?
Well, hi, Ken. The storm flags went up here at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. We got another good dose of rain after we talked to you last. We're right on the edge of a weather system here that's sweeping to the southeast that we expected would be long gone by now. You see the trucks still out there drying the racetrack. And the crowd milling around behind the grandstand. They've been very patient. They ran out to their cars for a while to get a little heat and a little dry, but they're back and just kind of waiting this one out. The weather still in the mid-60s, still just a little bit of showers, just a little bit of a sprinkle. Light breeze isn't helping to dry the track much with that 90% humidity. Here's the weather radar in the NASCAR truck. We're right at the center of the picture here in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and that weather system is sweeping off to the southeast. And we should be ready to race here in a bit. There's Jack Sprague's truck on the outside pole next to Jimmy Hensley, Ron Hornaday and Mike Bliss in row 2, Johnny Benson and Butch Miller in row number 3, Rusty Wallace and rookie Brian Reffner in the 4th row. There's the Nazareth track jet dryer. They also brought one down from Michigan International Speedway, just concerned about the weather. And you see a little bit of gray finally beginning to appear in the asphalt surface here. So the fans are hopeful, and so are we, of having some racing here at Nazareth later on this afternoon. Let's go back up to Watkins Glen, New York, and Ken Squire.
Mike, a question. A lot of surprise about the fact that Jimmy Hensley's put a Chrysler up on the front row and on the pole for that mile race today on the mile track?
Well, Ken, I think what they said was it's about time. And I think a lot of folks in the garage area expected Hensley, whose truck has been very fast all season but hasn't found its way to victory lane, to score either a win or a pole before now. I think the most surprised person was Jimmy. His pole run, as Buddy said earlier, was half a second a lap faster than his practice speed.
But we remember a year ago at Milwaukee, where we'll be next week, how strong that car. Dennis Setzer was driving that truck at Milwaukee last year, but boy, that thing was strong. He almost won the race there. So a mile track, relatively flat, similar to the Nazareth Speedway. So I guess it isn't maybe that big of a surprise. We'll get that thing dry, guys, and get her underway.
Okay, thanks, Ned.
And we'll be back here to give you a final look at the standings on the Watkins Glen 200 Grand National race in a moment.
Coverage of the Watkins Glen 200 is sponsored by the makers of Lysol products. Prime Star, mini dish satellite entertainment with no dish to buy. And by Head and Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
Take a look at the final standings on the 200 today here at Watkins Glen. Terry Labonte's day. 3rd in a row, 4th overall in this series, run on this great road course. Todd Bodine 2nd, Mike McLaughlin, Bobby Labonte, and David Green, top 5.
And 6th through 10th, Jeff Green, a good run here today. And Jimmy Spencer coming from a lap down, finished in 7th place. Chad Little wound up in 8th place, dropping back a little bit there in the last few laps. Kenny Wallace, good solid run in 9th. And Jason Keller, also a good run, finishing 10th.
Here in 11th, you see Dennis Setzer, Dick Trickle, who was right there in the top 10, right to the last corner of the last lap, finishes 12th. Phil Parsons, who was also involved with Dick Trickle's spin, finishes 13th. Michael Waltrip spit and sputtered, but he stayed on the lead lap and finished 14th. Butch Leitzinger, he just couldn't make that lap up, finishes 15th.
Yeah, he was one lap down in the first among those lap down. Looking further back, you had Craven, who had done so well early. Patty Moise up to 17th. Tim Fedewa, with all the troubles he's had this week, lost 2 cars, a truck, 3 motors in that fire, 18th. Good run for him. Mike Dillon and Doug Heverin into 20th.
And 21st through 25th, Rodney Combs, Tommy Houston, Stevie Reeves, Jeff Purvis, and Jim Bound.
Looking a little further back, Glenn Allen, Curtis Markham, Kevin LePage, who had a good run going, was up to second for a while. Buckshot Jones and Randy LaJoy took us back to 30th.
31st, Hermie Sadler had a good run going. Joe Nemechek probably had the best car of the day, finishes 32nd. Jeff Fuller, 33rd. Larry Pearson finishes 34th. Jeremy Mayfield, who also had a good run going, finishes 35th.
And rounding out the field, the youngster from down in Hilton Head, South Carolina, A.J. Frank and Randy Porter, first out. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And a good run today for David Green. Started on the pole, then wound up all the way in the back of the pack by pitting out of sequence. Tell us about that run through the pack. You must have been thinking points, weren't you?
Well, it was in a way, you know, but Kurt Chauvenet made a great call there, but sure put some more gray hair on my head, Dick. But CAT team did a great job. K-Tech, what an awesome engine, and missed a couple gears right there, and this thing hung with me. Goodyear did a great job with the tires, but it was just a real tough race, and we all knew Terry would be tough, and I want to thank CBS for broadcasting this race, and thank my crew, the CAT car. They did a great job today.
Well, you did a great job too, David, but I'm looking at your feet. What happened to your shoes?
I burned my feet in Nazareth, you know, about a month ago, and they're still not healed up, so I get rid of those things as soon as I can.
Okay, Bill.
Finished third today after finishing fourth last year. Hey, you like this road racing thing, don't you?
Yeah, we're getting better. We didn't quite have enough for Todd and Terry today, but we're getting better all the time. And just happy for everybody involved. We've got a great team here, Team 34, and Royal Oak Charcoal and Jack Rube Barbie's house. I tell you, they've been very supportive this year. It's been a kind of an up and down season for us, but it says a lot for the type of people and company they are to support us the way they have, and through 97. So we're real excited.
You proved what a lot of people were saying before the race. If you've got a good car, stay out of trouble, stay on the racetrack, and toward the end, you could be up near the front.
That's half the battle here. You got in that grass today, you were in trouble. So that was the first project, was staying on the track. But we had a decent car. I thought I had something for him there with about 15 to go, but then evidently they were saving something I didn't have. So.
A lot of guys had trouble with brakes today. How much pedal did you have at the end?
I didn't have a problem with brakes. They seemed to be just getting off the slower corners better than I was. I think that was their little bit of an edge, but brakes wasn't a problem. The Royal Oak Chevrolet was good, and we'll just have to improve and come and get them next year.
Mike McLaughlin bags the 3 spot. Back to Ken.
With a couple of laps to go, we had cars careening and crashing down in turn number 1, and when we come back, we'll take a look at that. That's after this message and the word upcoming from your local station. Sunday, July 28th, 1 o'clock Eastern, the Die Hard 500, and Saturday, July 27th, we'll have more Grand National racing with the Talladega 500K at 1 o'clock Eastern. That's NASCAR action on CBS Sports. Here's Dick Berggren.
Chad Little scored his second top 10 of 1996, but you did it with a difficult transmission. How hard is it to race here at Watkins Glen with that thing stuck in high gear, Chad?
Well, we wouldn't have finished in the top 10 if that was been the case all day long, but for some reason it jammed into high twice. We had to make unscheduled stops under green. Luckily, we were up front enough to do it, but, you know, I just had to work hard. The guys did a good job in the pits getting me back out, and we're real pleased to come home the way we did.
Smoking the tires going into those corners. How hard were you driving today?
I was driving it for every little bit I was worth. It was, and then towards the end, you know, I know I was holding up the guys a little bit. I could see them in my mirror, but it was one of those deals where I know road course is hard to pass on. I had the line, and they were going to have to work to get around that John Deere.
And they did. Bill Stevens?
Well, Dick Trickle finished 12th. It was not a trouble-free day, was it, Dick?
No, we're thinking we might get in the top 5 there the last 3 laps. A lot of mess around going. You know, the Doolittle people just do a super job here, you know. Dennis, the owner, and Brian, all the guys. You know, it's kind of a second thing for me, but we've been having a lot of fun with it. We've been on a punt. I'm not a real road racer, but, you know, we look like we're for sure going to get in top 10 and maybe a top 5 out of it. You know, I tried to make a move with 2 laps to go, and I kind of got the door shut on me a little bit. Parson kind of run me down on the bottom, and I got loosed up, couldn't get shut down, and it caused some kind of wreck that I got in, I guess. But it was really fun, and we'll take 12 and go home.
I take it you're not anxious to your next road racing experience.
Well, I really enjoy road racing, you know, and that's one reason I'm up here, get a little experience, you know. Hopefully I'll be back up here with a 90 car when Winston Cup cars get here. And, you know, I can road race pretty good, but I don't give very good feedback because it isn't my expertise, you know. You know, I want to say hi to family and everybody back home. They don't get to see me much.
Dick Trickle, the veteran, happy this day is over.
Yeah, we'll show you just exactly what happened with Parsons and Dick Trickle.
Well, actually, Trickle was on the inside of Chad Little trying to make a pass coming down in turn one. He didn't have the right angle. He was way down on the low side of the racetrack, got in there too fast, and the thing broke loose with him, went up into the toolies, we'll call it, up into the loose stuff. And here comes Phil Parsons. He sees all that going on, and Trickle slides right back out in front of him, and wham, sends both of them into the wall.
Spinning. And if you don't believe it, take a look at it this way.
Well, there you see Trickle all the way, his left wheel's off on the grass, and Parsons trying to cut down low under him, and Trickle just comes out and whams right into him and sends Parsons to the inside of the track, and Trickle out on the outside.
Kenny Wallace was really lucky there.
Right behind him. From the Channel Master, number 10, you're riding with Phil Channel Lock, number 10. You're riding with Phil Parsons right here, and boy, let me tell you, this will get your attention.
Phil just had nowhere to go. Dick comes back across the racetrack, bam, and then of course he goes over and hits the guardrail. That corner just come up too quick for Dick, I think, or just run out of racetrack.
He had the move made, but the turn was a little stronger coming up than he expected. Hey, we'll be back with more in just a moment here at Watkins Glen, New York, where Labonte is the victor. And welcome back to Watkins Glen, New York. We're assembling some of the highlights, some of the major incidents in today's program. But right now, let's go back to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and Mike Joy.
Is not moving, but neither are these fans. They're a hardy lot, race fans. And the trucks are out there in force, and the two jet dryers trying to improve things here. But it's a kind of a damp day in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, as we try to get this truck race, the 9th of the season, underway. Ned had asked earlier about whether or not Jimmy Hensley was a surprise for the pole. We had to look back in the book to find that Jimmy had won a pole position here in 1991 for the Busch Grand National race, an event that he won here in 1990. So he's no stranger to the racetrack, even though he's relatively new to the truck series. And of course, Dodge there trying to put that truck into victory lane. First major NASCAR victory for a Dodge you're looking for in some 20 years. Could Jimmy Hensley be the man to do it? Let's find out. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Mike. And I tell you, you talk about Jimmy being surprised. He may have been the most surprised person in the garage area yesterday when you won that pole.
Well, it was, Glenn. I thought we had a pretty good truck for the race, but never dreamed, after Jack ran the time he ran, I mean, that was just unbelievable time, according to practice times. And then I came in and I looked up on the scoreboard and that was 30, and I could not believe it. But, I knew it was a good lap, and but I just didn't think about it being that good.
Well, and also you told me earlier on that you didn't really practice for qualifying. In other words, you were setting the truck up for the race. You pretty much went out there on a race setup.
Well, we did. We really don't do a lot for qualifying. We try to just get the race truck ready for the race, and that's kind of what we did here. Just got a great lap in. I don't know what to say. I mean, it surprised me, and I was happy for the team. But I really worked hard this week after Bristol. I tore up a couple trucks at Bristol last week, and they worked night and day this week to get here. So, it was a great day for us.
Speaking of Bristol, the troubles that you had there last week, I noticed that you didn't go back out for happy hour practice yesterday.
Well, we kind of talked about that. Someone on the crew said, do we really need to make last practice? I said, I got to thinking about it last week, and I said, I don't know. We wrecked at Bristol last week in last practice, so we decided we wouldn't go. The truck, was pretty good, so we just thought we'd go with what we had.
Well, he's anxious to get going here today, Mike. We're also all anxious down here to get this thing underway. Jimmy Hensley, his first career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pole.
Well, thanks, Glenn. We'll see if the weather cooperates. He's the only Dodge in the top 10. There are 5 of them here for this race. CBS Sports coverage of the Nazareth 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to Nazareth, Pennsylvania.